All parties on Goldgart versus Robinson. Step forward.
46-year-old secretary Pam Goldgart is suing her short-term boyfriend, 41-year-old Steve Robinson, for keeping her stuff after she moved out. Steve is countersuing Pam for rent and putting his cat to sleep.
Order. All rise. Thank you. Your Honor, this is case number 141 on the calendar in the matter of Goldgart versus Robinson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Miss Goldgart, according to your complaint, you dated the defendant on Monday, April 13th.
That's the first time I saw him.
You moved in with him on April 26th.
Yes.
On May 17th, he turned you out,
Yes.
keeping your stuff.
Yes.
Can you tell me what prompts somebody to move in with a total stranger after less than 2 weeks?
Judge, I've been divorced for almost 12 years, and this man told me everything I'd ever wanted to hear from any man in my life.
That should have been your first clue.
Major red flag. You're absolutely right. You're right.
Okay. You moved in April 26th. Things went from bad to worse, and on May 17th, he told you to leave.
Yes, he did.
And you kept your stuff.
Yes, I did.
Why?
She owes me money.
For what?
Rent, also phone bills, utilities.
Just a second. She lived in your house for 3 weeks. I assume that things were not happy between you, which is why you told her to leave.
Right.
You live there with your children?
No,
You live there alone?
not now.
But you were living there alone when she moved in with you.
No.
Who was living there?
Genora.
Who are you?
I'm his girlfriend.
You mean she was... Oh. Shay, I can't do this case if there's noise. Was she living there when you lived there?
No, it's the day that he kicked her out, he asked me to move in.
The day I
The
moved
night
in.
I left, he asked her to come back.
Oh, Mr. Robinson. Just a second. What's your name?
Genora.
Genora. Step up here, Genora. This is getting really fascinating. How long were you with him before he told you to leave?
He didn't tell me to leave.
You left.
I moved
You moved
because of this.
because he told her to move in.
No, I moved, and then he said move in. He didn't even know I was leaving
Why were you leaving?
because I knew he was with her.
How long had you been with him before she moved in?
About a year and a half.
Well, now, when you lived there, were you working?
Yes, I was.
And you were paying bills?
Yes, we split everything half and half.
So you had an oral agreement with him that you would split the bills down the middle?
Yes.
And so you did not have that arrangement with the plaintiff?
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't, sir. Because even according to your answer, you say that you didn't have that agreement with her. According to your answer, you say, because it didn't work out and she moved out, I said that now she owes me for rent. So you didn't have that agreement with her when she moved in.
We had talked about sharing utilities, rent, phone bills,
When did you talk about it?
before she moved in.
Is that right?
No.
No, you didn't, Mr. Robinson.
I have long-distance phone calls from Pittsburgh to Pennsylvania with her kids. And
I have no problem with paying the bill, Your Honor.
The phone bill?
Correct.
That's fine. How much
Prior
is the
to
phone
that,
bill?
we had not made
How much is the
agreement.
phone bill?
Well, also, Your Honor, we haven't got another bill yet from when before she moved out. I haven't even
Mr.
received that.
Robinson, let me tell you something. You seem to need to have a woman around you all the time, sir.
This part is-
somebody to take care of you, somebody to take care of your house and everything else. I don't understand, but you seem to be able to get it. Give me the long-distance phone bill.
$12.50.
$12.50?
Yes.
$12.50. Perfect. Now, you have her stuff.
I have an itemized list also,
He's
Your
going to
Honor.
give you back all your stuff. Let me see. You moved in with a television?
Yes, I did.
You have a television?
The small one in the bedroom.
Whatever it is. You have her television that she
Yes,
moved
ma'am.
in with. And you have her entertainment wall unit.
Yes.
And you have her forehead VCR.
Yes.
And you have her queen-size comforters.
Yes.
Comforter.
And bed.
Okay.
Judge, I
and-
have no problem giving this back to her.
Good. Perfect. Okay, now, so all of her things within 72 hours, you arrange for the pickup.
Okay.
Now let's get to his counterclaim. I've already decided that he's not entitled to any rent, and I've already decided he's not entitled to any utilities but the $12 long-distance phone bill that you agreed to pay. The only part of his counterclaim that I am going to consider, and I want to hear about, is the fact that you took his cat and had his cat put to sleep. So that I want to hear about.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The very day that you found out that the cat was gone, you would have done everything in your power to locate it. It was not 5 days, not 4 days, not 3 days, not 2 days. That very day, you would have been in your car scouring every animal shelter in the city to try to find it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pam Goldgart and Steve Robison lived together for a brief time. Now, Pam is suing Steve for keeping her belongings, and Steve is suing Pam for rent and putting his cat to sleep.
Now let's get to his counterclaim.
Okay, that's one of the reasons I brought my daughter. When I moved in, I knew that he had the cat, that he was attached to the cat, the children were attached to the cat. I didn't tell him that I was allergic to cats. I thought, Pam, maybe it's a mind over matter type of thing. You can deal with it. I thought I was in love with the man. I was willing to deal with anything that came along with him. After a few days, the allergies just took over. He came in the living room one day. The allergies had taken over my eyes. They were tearing. He asked me what I was crying about. I said, I have to be very honest with you. I'm allergic to cats. He said, then the cat has to go. About a week went by. Nothing happened with the cat. I said, Steve, I have to do something about the cat. I was completely stuffed up. So he said, fine, do whatever you have to do as far as the cat. I called the animal control. The woman I spoke to had basically reassured me as far as not putting the animals to sleep. I never would have agreed to do what I did if I had known the animal would have been put to sleep. And this is what I found out from him a few days later, that the cat had been killed. I didn't know that. I would not have done that. I called the animal control. They said they would come and get the cat, which they did.
Did you tell him you were doing that?
The night before, he said, let's do what we have to do with the cat tomorrow. And
Let's is a contraction for let us.
Right.
So that's your first mistake. It's his cat. Let him take care of it.
Right, you're right.
So did you tell him that I'm calling animal control? Or you just figured that by his statement, let us take care of it, that let's take care of it, that he was giving you carte blanche to do whatever you wanted to do?
Yes, that's basically what
So you
my
didn't tell him what you were doing?
The night before we had discussed it, he said, let's do whatever we have to do tomorrow to take care of the cat.
Listen, my question to you is, you didn't say, I'm calling animal control.
No, he was not home. He was out for a job interview at that particular time that I called.
Now let's hear your version of the cat.
That cat was my children's cat. Okay. Now, I did not tell her to take it to the pound. We did not discuss it the night before.
No, okay. But let's talk about
I said
Mr. Robinson.
We need to find a place for the cat.
So you did have discussions about the cat because
Yes,
of her
ma'am.
allergies?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And her allergies weren't getting any better?
Right.
And at that point, you anticipated that you were going to be together, I assume?
Right.
The night before, you say you had no discussion, and your only discussion with her was, we're going to have to find something to do with the cat.
Right. But not take it to the pound. No way.
Okay. What did you say to her about the cat?
I said that, yes, we need to find a place for it to live. Adopt.
Okay.
Adopt.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much what she says. She says that she had no idea that they were going to euthanize this cat, and she thought that they were going to find it a home. What happened when you came home and found the cat not there? Tell me exactly.
She said to me, you're going to be mad at me. And I said, why? She said, I put the cat in a box, stuck it up at the rental office, and called the animal control.
Okay. So you immediately called animal control.
I couldn't get through to where the cat was, so I called Genora. And they said,
What you called Genora for?
because she had access to a phone longer than I did. I was busy.
Mr.
And
Robinson,
also
Mr.
Pam,
Robinson, listen to me carefully. Somebody tells you, the woman that you're living with tells you that your children's cat, she's just given to animal control, you are totally taken aback. I don't care what else you have to do. You pick up the phone and you call. You don't call the old girlfriend to tell her to take care of your dirty business. I mean, I don't know. Janora, I want you to wake up, Janora. Just listen carefully, Janora. When did you finally call animal control, sir?
The next day, because she stated to me that there was going to be put for adoption. That she.
You called the next day.
Right.
And are you telling me that the next day they told you that they put the animal to sleep?
No, not at all. We could not get through. I couldn't even find the city where the cat was at. I
when
called
did you
Janora.
find? Don't tell me you called Janora. How old are you? How old are you?
41.
What are you calling her for? Take care of your own business. When did you finally find out that the cat had been euthanized, sir?
On the 5th day.
On day 5.
Right.
You finally got unbusy enough to find out where the cat was.
Yes, ma'am.
And they told you after 5 days the cat had been put down.
On the 4th day, it was euthanized.
Okay. Was it about the time that he found out the cat had been put to sleep that he told you to leave?
No, he found out after I left. After he asked me to leave, he then found out where the cat was located, tried to get the cat back, and then found out that the cat was no longer alive.
Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
How much after she left?
2 days.
1 day.
1 day. 1 day.
Yeah.
Could you sit down?
Sorry.
So you waited until after she left to find out where your cat was? Or you managed to find out where your cat was 1 day after
Right.
she left?
Immediately after she left.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
If you knew that he was making payments on the card on your behalf because you had no money, then you knew it wasn't a gift. So stop pulling my chain.
closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Pam Goldgart is suing her short-term boyfriend, Steve Robison, for keeping her stuff after she moved out. Steve is countersuing Pam for rent and putting his cat to sleep.
All right. I'm going to make the following order. All of your property is to be made available to you within 72 hours of this court date.
Okay.
I am awarding Mr. Robison $12 for the phone bill.
Okay.
Mr. Robison, I was appalled when I read your countersuit where it said she took your cat and without your permission, without your children's permission, had the cat put to sleep. I mean, it sounded like something that a psychotic would do. But now that I hear this story, it seems to me that you had discussions. She was ill. The woman that you were living with at the time couldn't tolerate the cat. You tried to find an alternative home. I don't believe that she actually knew that the cat was going to be put to sleep at the time that she gave the cat to animal control. And I found that if you were so sincerely interested in having this cat returned to you, the very day that you found out that the cat was gone, you would have done everything in your power to locate it. It was not 5 days, not 4 days, not 3 days, not 2 days. That very day, you would have been in your car scouring every animal shelter in the city to try to find it. Not telling me that you're too busy and you called the old girlfriend to try to get a number. So I think that your countersuit is a lot of baloney. That's the judgment of the court. All the property within 72 hours and $12 for you for the phone bill. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
The woman's a cat killer. I never gave her permission to do this. I was never going to get rid of the cat anyway. I was going to keep that cat. She was going before the cat was.
I didn't kill his cat. I never would have done that.
She needs to get her stuff back and get on with her life and put this all behind her. It was a big mistake.
And now the next case.
Parties on Moore versus Ryan. Step forward, please.
Hairdresser Rosie Moore claims manicurist Deborah Lynn Walton charged clothes on her credit card during the time she was engaged to Rosie's son, 29-year-old Timothy Moore. The engagement ended. Now Rosie wants Deborah Lynn to pay her back.
Mrs. Moore, according to your complaint, the defendant was engaged to your son.
Right.
And that while they were engaged, you allowed her to charge some clothes that she wanted on your credit card.
Right.
Son,
Yes, that's my son, Tim.
they broke up.
Yes.
She didn't pay the bill.
Right.
She says clothes were a gift.
Yes.
Okay. So let's hear about it.
We worked together in the same salon. She complained she had no clothes to wear because she had lost several pounds, and she was always complaining. Anyways, as a friend, as a future mother-in-law, I took her in like a daughter, took her into my own home, matter of fact, to live with me. Anyways, I took her, I told her I had this credit card that I don't have any expenses on, that I knew we could go in, we could charge, and you can make the payments on it. So we went in, she bought about several little pieces that mixed and matched and made about 4 or 5 outfits, over $300 worth. That was fine. I signed, she took the clothes home, and we were fine, and she was going to make the payments. She made several payments. Well, after a couple of few payments that she had made, she had took on the back of the statements and changed the address to her address.
Does that sound right to you?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, I guess, gave herself authority to have authorization on my credit card, which I knew nothing about.
Now you get a big bill.
Now at Christmas time, I go to use it again to find something for presents. And the lady tells me that with my charge, plus cash payment, that I would have my credit card maxed out. And I couldn't believe it because I hadn't used it since I had used it last on her.
Did you ascertain how much the balance was?
Over $700, $713.
You have a statement?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
The $713 was that she
Okay, let me see what you have.
owed me, and then that's the proof of the last couple of payments that I have made. And that's the balance of today and the June payment also.
You say the balance was $713.35. Is that correct?
In December, right.
Now, before you dig a hole for yourself and try to explain to me why this was a gift, I have a few questions.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
If this was a gift, why would you have anything to do with the bills?
For one, her son, she would, call at home and say that she, was short of money, she needed to pay this bill or that bill, make sure that you bring something for that. He would make out. I never had a checking account. I never even made payments. I would give cash to him and he would make the payments.
What you're telling me is it was he who paid the bill.
Correct.
Your name, sir?
Timothy Moore.
Mr. Moore, the defendant says that you were the one who actually paid this bill on a monthly basis for a period of time. Look at me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
No.
Was the account changed in her name or in his name?
Neither. It was it was always in my name.
I
She
know.
gave herself authorization to charge on my account.
Her, not him.
Right.
Not your son.
No.
I'd love to explain.
I'm ready.
It all started when I came back from Dallas, Texas. We were open arms, welcome back, into Rosie's home. And at the time, I was working with basically a zero clientele. I had no money, and that's when the initial purchase was made.
Well, just tell me how that came about. She said to you, I have a credit card that has a zero balance at this department store. You can find yourself some things.
Right.
The bills would come, she would give you the bill, and you would pay it.
No, I personally would not pay it. Timothy would. Because I didn't make any money.
Just a second. So he would pay it because you weren't earning any money at that time, but
Correct.
you knew he was making the payments on
Correct.
the card.
Correct.
Well, therefore, madam, you knew that this wasn't a gift. If you knew that he was making payments on the card on your behalf because you had no money, then you knew it wasn't a gift. So stop pulling my chain. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $713.35. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Hopefully, maybe we can work on a friendship now. Bygones be bygones, I guess.
I think she definitely was deceitful in the whole matter. She always has been. She always likes to tell stories.
Maybe this will turn her life around and she'll move forward and try not to do this anymore.
versus Lowe. Step forward, please.
45-year-old Thomas Lowe says he met his 23-year-old Filipino wife, Arlene Rowe, when he answered an ad in an international dating magazine. Thomas says when his new bride came to live with him in the United States, she charged a fortune in long-distance phone calls back to the Philippines. The marriage ended in divorce, and now he wants her to pay the phone bill.
Order. All rise. Now, this is number 173 on the calendar in the matter of Lowe versus Lowe. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This is your former wife.
Yes.
And while usually the background of a couple's courtship, etc., is usually not germane to the issues of the case, I think that in this case it is. How did you meet your wife, sir?
Through correspondence. A friend of mine told me that about it. He had met a wife overseas, and I tried it myself, and I wrote to Arlene, and she wrote back to me.
How did you get her name to write to her?
It was through a magazine that this gentleman informed me of. His name was Cherry Blossoms, and I wrote to her there, and several other ladies too.
Did you advertise in this magazine?
My friend advertised me in there.
Your friend advertised for you? Okay. So you began to correspond, and then what happened?
She said she was about to go overseas to take a job, and at that particular time, we had been corresponding for a year. And
Where was she living at the time?
In the Philippines. And I told her I was going to come to see her and not to go, that I asked her to marry me, and she agreed.
This was before you met her?
We had been corresponding. I told her I was going to go see her,
But before you met her, you told her that you wanted to marry him?
Yes, and that's why I was going to the Philippines to see her.
You wanted to marry him?
Yeah, but before he told me about that, I supposed to have like my visa is already ready. Then I told him I have to go because I have my responsibility for my sister. So he told me, and he called to my mom, and he talked to my dad. Then he told to my dad that tell him not to go. I will be responsible for all his responsibility.
For all of your
Yeah, my visa
expenses.
is ready already. Then he told me to not to go.
How old are you?
I'm 23 right now.
How old are you?
45.
How old was she when you began this correspondence, Mr. Lowe?
I do believe she was 20.
Didn't you think she was a little young for you?
Oh, yes, I wrote and told her so. And she wrote back and told me no, she wasn't.
Well, you should have been older and wiser, sir.
Yes.
Because the thrust of your complaint is that while you're divorced now, she ran up phone bills in the amount of $3,400 to her mother.
Yes.
But he used my mom. Before that, he told to my mom and my sister because he's working with him.
You mean your family was working with him?
Yeah, like they're working with him.
What kind of
that's
work?
Why, because they have a correspondence. We have correspondence businesses. Then my mom was the one who's handling his business in the Philippines.
What kind of business?
It's like correspondence services.
Correspondence services?
Yes,
what
ma'am.
kind of correspondence services?
It's called Romance International.
What?
It's called Romance International. I developed my own service and run it on the internet.
Romance International?
Yes, run it on the internet. But, Your Honor, I did not call them for that. I sent them the pamphlets and everything in the mail.
But he told me it's okay to call to my mom. And you accept not only my mom, you accept the collect calls from your agent that I talk to them.
Miss Lowe, did you talk to your mother a lot?
Yeah, I talked to my mom.
Did you talk to her for a long time?
No.
When you would call her or when she would call you collect to talk to you, just stay on the phone for a half hour? Sometimes longer?
Yeah. If I talk to him, if I talk to my mom, he talked to...
But mostly you talk to her?
Yes.
What happened when you started to get these big phone bills? Did he complain?
Yeah, he told me, but I paid for the phone bill when I started working. Then he told me I didn't pay for it. The first salary that I got from here, I pay for his phone bill. But he don't give me any money.
Mr. Lowe.
Yes.
What makes you think that I should order her to pay you money for this phone bill?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, she agreed when I was first initially going to take the phone out to pay for just the international phone calls. I didn't ask her to pay for anything else, just her phone calls and calls she made to the psychic for $195. That was all she was supposed to pay for. I gave her money every week, which I have records of, that went to the bank, which was taken out in the Philippines. So money was given to them every week for her responsibility, even when I was not married to her. When she agreed to marry me, I took care of her responsibilities in the Philippines. But in order to keep the phone on, she promised to pay just the international phone bills. That's all I asked. She never had to pay any other bills at the house.
Okay, so she didn't. So you got a divorce.
Yes. Well, no, the problem with the divorce was I wanted to move to Brentwood, and mother told her no, she couldn't move to Brentwood with me, and she had to work her $4.25 an hour job. I was trying to get her a job paying $12 an hour, $15 an hour. I was ready to send her to school. I had taken out a $28,000 loan to take her to school, and the mother told her she couldn't go to school. She had to work.
No, my mom didn't told that. You want me to send to school. Then, like, when they interview me, then they told me I have to study like three years to pay $38,000. But you told them that, okay, after you finish your school, you're gonna pay me. I have to pay that for the rest of my life for $38,000.
So what you did you tell her that she was going to have to pay back the tuition?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Lowe.
The whole thing was I would have taken out the loan for the thing, and I was very willing to do that.
Mr. Lowe, you married a baby.
Your Honor, when I first married her, she did not strike me as a baby.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm trying to be good in sex, but it takes time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arlene Rose says when she came from the Philippines to marry Thomas, a man she met by placing an ad in a dating magazine, he treated her horribly and quickly divorced her. Now he's suing her for long-distance phone calls she made to her family.
In my untrained eye, sir, this looks like a May-December romance.
Yes.
Did you ever hear that expression?
Yes.
And sometimes men marry women and they're very extravagant. They go out and they spend all their husband's money on jewelry and furs and manicures and pedicures and hats. Do women still buy hats? No.
Yeah.
No.
What's he do?
Your child bride called her mother a lot.
No, her mother called her.
Or her mother called her a lot. Because she evidently needed to talk to her family, very far away from her family. That's what happens when you marry somebody who's very young.
No, Your Honor, the reason they called was because her family kept getting into financial problems.
But you know that. You already know all my responsibilities.
Listen, Miss Lowe, I gather from your answer that you feel as if you have a very strong responsibility to family, even your family in the Philippines. What's supposed to happen when you get married is you're not supposed to necessarily lose that allegiance to your family, but you and your husband create your own unit. You have a mother in the Philippines, you have a father in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Yes? You have sisters?
Yes.
You have brothers?
Yes.
They're supposed to take care of themselves. That's not his responsibility.
Yeah, he told me that's not his responsibility.
It's not.
Like,
and it's not your responsibility. You're a baby, 20 years old. You got a mother, your father, brothers, sisters, everybody else in the Philippines. All of a sudden, because you got married, you married somebody who maybe had an extra couple of bucks, that doesn't make your family in the Philippines your financial responsibility. When you're married, this is your financial responsibility, but you're not married anymore. I'm just telling you that for the future, because otherwise you're going to be a very unhappy lady the next time you get married. You can't.
I didn't tell him to responsibility for my family. I told him I have to send my sister on school. So that's my responsibility.
Why do you have to send your sister to school?
Because I'm the second to the eldest.
And what about your mother and father?
They work a lot for my brothers and sisters. And like that time my father are sick, so I have to go to work.
So
And
what
like
you're
he
telling
knows
me
all
is,
all of that.
so what you're telling me is, shh, that you had to work here and send money back to your family in the Philippines? Is that what you're telling me?
No. I came here as to his wife, to be his wife. I came here 6 months. I worked for him. In American Embassy, he told that even I came here, I still receive any salary from his business, but I don't get any single penny. He gave me $10, $20. The first time he gave me is $20. And the last one before we leave, he gave me only $10. And like he told me, I always stay in the house. I work for him, I work for his business. I only sleep for 4 hours to work in his business. Then like, I don't get anything. I work, I clean the house, I do everything. And like I told him, he have 1 week salary for $1,000 or $2,000. Then I work for 2 weeks to $200, $300. But I give him all my first salary. So I told him, did I ask you any money from your salary? I didn't even touch your money. Even we have joint account.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arlene Rose says when she came from the Philippines to marry Thomas, a man she met by placing an ad in a dating magazine, he treated her horribly and quickly divorced her. Now he's suing her for long-distance phone calls she made to her family.
Mr. Lowe, you made a mistake.
Yes.
I believe that your former wife probably made a mistake. Is it your intention to go back to the Philippines? Or are you going to stay here in the United States?
I have to move on to my life. That's all I want.
So what do you want to do? Where do you want to live?
I have to settle all my problem here.
What kind of problems do you have here, Miss Lowe? Other than this one is I'm going to make a non-problem for you. What other problems do you have?
About the status I have
You mean your visa status?
Yes, Mom.
Do you want to stay in the United States or do you want to go home to the Philippines?
I don't know if I can survive. Maybe I'll survive because I work for 2 jobs. I work 7 days.
You
and
work
I
2 jobs now?
Jobs. Yes, Mom.
You send money home to your family?
Sometimes. But I have to settle all my bills.
What other bills do you have?
I have to pay for my lawyer.
Which
I
lawyer?
have to pay for my car and my insurance.
What lawyer do you have to pay for?
For my case.
You mean for your immigration case?
Yes, Mom.
Are you okay financially, Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
You think
well, actually, no, Your Honor. I've got, from our marriage, we've got major bills. We've got about $24,000 in back debt.
For what?
Some of it, a lot of it is mine. Then there's $9,000 between the tax stuff that I put off to help her family when I gave her money to help her family, $3,000, and put off paying taxes that I was supposed to pay the taxes
That's
with.
your problem. That's your problem.
Yes.
Mr. Lowe. I don't think she was, except for her phone bills, I don't think she was a very expensive lady to keep. Right?
No, Your Honor. I paid her a salary every week, and the records show I was putting $180 to $200 a week for her to send back home, and I have records for that.
Did you send back that money home?
No, because he owed my mom's money. Because when he sent some money from me, he told me that's my allowance as his wife. But I spent that money on his business. I told him about that.
Mr. Lowe, who initiated the divorce proceedings here in California?
She left the house, so I tried to reconcile with her. I initiated the divorce proceedings.
You got it. See how fast he's a quick study. And did you have anything in the divorce proceedings about this $3,400 debt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And
She
what
agreed
was
to
that?
pay for it. It's
Where-
a marital agreement.
Do you have that in writing?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
This is the one.
Oh, she has it.
Oh, jeez.
When he gave that papers, he already signed the papers. Then the one that he told that to sign it, and I bring it to my lawyer, the second agreement.
What
because he
second
changed the agreement that it says $3,400 to pay for 30 days. Then he want me to sign that papers.
Just a second. Is there another paper?
Yeah, we
That,
have
Your Honor,
another.
because of the first, we had the first original marriage agreement, and it wasn't notarized. That's why I have to come here now. And because it wasn't notarized, I had to get a second agreement done. I took that to her job. She said she had to go see her lawyer again with that. She never came back with that. We were forced to use the first agreement.
Let me see your judgment to divorce, sir.
This one.
She has it.
I want to see if it refers to the settlement agreement. Oh.
The first agreement wasn't notarized, Your Honor. That's why they could not use that agreement in the court. That's why I had to come to small claims court, because it wasn't notarized before the first of the year.
But Mr. Lowe, you have to understand something, sir. I like to see the right thing happen at the end of a case, because that's what I think that's supposed to happen in court. And if you show me an agreement and you say it's incorporated in your judgment to divorce, I have no choice, and I've explained that to your wife. I have no choice but to give you your judgment for $3,400, even though I don't feel good about it. I don't think she's, I don't think she's stupid, but I think that she was vulnerable, certainly more vulnerable than you are. So I feel sort of badly about having to make a judgment against her for $3,400, considering that she works 2 jobs and trying to maintain herself and send money home for her sister to go to school. I mean, that's hard. But now I have an out. Whew.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You say here, sir, we have no community assets or liabilities.
The second, yeah.
That's what it says here.
Community assets liability, yes.
That's what it says. You have no community assets or liabilities.
That was before, when we first signed that agreement, that was before all the taxes came. So that's when we tried to make the second agreement.
This is dated November 7th.
Yes.
This is dated in October.
Yes, I could not use the first one.
You can't use it?
That's because it wasn't notarized.
So it wasn't notarized, so what am I supposed to do?
That's why when I went to court, the judge said if I wanted to settle this, I had to then take her to small claims court.
Okay, so now, so it's not part of the judgment of divorce, so I'm not bound by another court's ruling.
No,
that
you're
it's
not.
part of another. All right, then that's very easy. Mr. Lowe, your wife is 23 years old?
Yes, Mom.
You're 45 years old. You're a man of the world. She's not. She was extravagant in the way she made phone calls. You have money, not a lot, probably, but certainly more than she does.
Yes,
That be a fair statement? I'm not going to burden her with another debt of $3,400. This case is dismissed.
Is that excused? You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
It's terrible. My sex is terrible, and I don't have experience on bed. That's why.
I told her I would take her to see doctors if she wanted to talk to them with counseling. I had a Filipino sex therapist that was on the internet that I also had her in contact with. I did everything possible to help her overcome that part of her not knowing, being that familiar with what was supposed to be going on in the bedroom. I was very patient with her with that. So I figured we had plenty of time. After all, we're both Catholic. We had married in the church. I figured we had plenty of time to solve that.
I'm trying to be good in sex, but it takes time. Not only 1 year, 2 years, but because I never had sex with anyone. If I have, maybe I'll be good, but I'm not. He already destroyed my life.
Party's on. Fitzgerald versus Les Savoy. Step forward, please.
23-year-old Scott Fitzgerald says he got his girlfriend's name tattooed on his arm when they fell in love. Now Nicole Le Savoy is Scott's ex-girlfriend, and he wants her to pay to have the tattoo removed.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is number 120 on the calendar in the matter of Fitzgerald versus Les Savoy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This lawsuit has a lot of parts, so I'm going to try to simplify it. You've known the defendant and dated since you were teenagers, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
How old are you now?
23.
22.
And now you're not together anymore.
No.
You claim that the defendant owes you money for several things.
Yes.
Let's take the simple ones first.
Okay.
The car.
The rental car.
Right.
Yes.
Tell me what she owes you for the rental car and how you came to lend her the money for this rental car.
Okay, she owes me a total of $2,081.72. This came from charges on my credit card. She was in an accident. Her insurance didn't cover her rent-a-car. There was a dispute between who was at fault. The last I knew, it was still disputing. This happened, I believe, the end of November. Her parents wouldn't help her out with the car. Her dad has 2 cars, wouldn't loan her one. She had to get to work, other things.
And you put it on your credit card?
I told her that I have a credit card that she can use. However, I had just bought a house and money was kind of tight, so I asked her that when the minimum payments came in, she would make those payments. She agreed, everything was fine. Went down there, left the card. Card had...
Did she ever make payments on the card?
Never.
You owe him this money?
Yes, I do.
All right, you seem to acknowledge that you owe him this money in your answer.
Yes.
And that bill is $2,081.72.
Yes.
You acknowledge that that's the amount?
Yes.
You spent a lot of his money, so that's so far we have that amount. Let's keep tabs on this. Okay. The next thing you're suing her for is for damage caused to your property.
Yes.
Tell me about this damage, when it was caused, sir.
Well, it's hard for me to think of the exact date that it started, so if I can go with this. We broke up in the beginning of March. Throughout the next about 2.5 months, we were talking, trying to work things out. There was times where she didn't want anything to do with me. There was times where I didn't want anything to do with her. We would start to argue and get upset. It always happened at my house, the conversations, and you know, when I would be done with it and I would ask her to leave, I would tell her to leave. She wouldn't leave. I would begin to get stronger with telling her to leave. There was many nights where I would lock her out of my house because I didn't want to talk to her anymore. She would kick my door in, my front door, kick the panels through. She became very insultive to my roommates. Every time she would leave, she would run through my wrought iron gate and slam it so hard that it would bend through past the stopping point. There was one night where her and I were supposed to go to the lake early in the morning. We began fighting throughout that evening. And when I say early in the morning, we were leaving at 5 to meet with a friend. At about 3 o'clock, we started arguing, fighting. I told her, look, you're not going to go with me to the lake today. I'm going. Let's cool off. She didn't like that, wouldn't let me leave. She became physically abusive, would not letting me leave. I managed to make it into my car by tricking her, going around to the passenger side, crawling over. As I'm doing this, she's standing there kicking my car door. Then I go to leave, drive about 2.5 miles to my friend's house that I was meeting at 5. She follows me the whole way, stops in the gas station behind me. More abuse, more insults. I just get in my car and take off, spilling gas all over the back of my car. I get to my friend's house. She follows me up that driveway. It's about 5:15 in the morning, might even been earlier. She's yelling, waking up his neighbors. His neighbors are reaching out their window, asking us to keep it down. I finally agree because I feel really bad that it's in my friend's house and my friend's neighbors are getting upset. I go out to the street with her. I'm talking with her. Finally, she leaves. There's been many cases. She's insulted my roommates, called...
I'm not interested in her insulting your roommates.
Okay.
I'm not even interested in her insulting
Okay,
you. You're not going to get compensated for it, sir.
Right.
And the fact is that you told me that she was invited over to your house frequently, and each time you said she came over, she slammed the wrought iron gate. Then, well, if she keeps doing that, then you stop inviting her over. You didn't expect me to...
It was... I understand.
You didn't expect her to pay for that.
No, I don't.
And you
that
didn't
was
expect
my
her to pay for
foolishness.
Of course it was.
However, what I do expect her to
Then
pay...
let's cut to the chase.
Okay.
Because I have other things to
understand.
do today.
The main instance that I'm concerned with was there was 2 different times where she kicked in my door because I didn't want to talk to her, and I asked her to go home, and she wouldn't. The main night was the night that It was about 3:30 in the morning. I was on the phone talking to somebody that I had met a few nights before. We were out at a club. I asked her to call me when she got home, make sure she was all right. Nikki called my house once, hung up, called again, said, I love you, hung up, called again, who are you talking to? I said, a friend. Whatever, I don't want to talk to you, I hang up on her. She drives to my house. It's like 3:34 in the morning. Drives to my house. I hear her car pull up. I go outside. She appears to be calm. She starts interrogating me about this girl, and when I'm answering, she spits on the back of my head. I get up, look at her, and say, go home, I'm going inside. She goes to my front door first. I didn't know what she was doing at this time. Later, I find out that when she went to the door, she flicked a cigarette in my house. Because about 15 minutes later, when her and I both make our way into the living room talking, and she says to me, you don't care about me, well, look how much I care about you, and points to my couch, which I have pictures of. The cigarette festered the hole.
Your Honor?
When I tell her to leave, she runs to the TV that she bought for me for Christmas, slams the TV against the wall, knocks the cable box off the wall, causing a dent in the wall, of which I also have pictures of. That's the cigarette burning the couch. That's the whole couch. When she hears me talking on the phone with the police, she lunges at me, bites me on my arm, of which I also have pictures of.
Would you like to also include that you were grabbing me and that a week before you would beat me? I have a police report to report that.
Just a minute, that's not the truth of the matter is that may be relevant in some other proceeding, but it's not relevant to this proceeding. You're not suing for that.
So when she hears me dial the phone, she lunges at me and bites on my arm. As soon as she hears me talking with the cops, she realizes I'm telling the truth because I had threatened many times before, but to be honest with you, Your Honor, the reason why this went on for so long is because I felt like a wimp calling the cops for a girl.
Is this these pictures of your arm, sir, to show me a bite?
Yes, would you like me to point it out?
Yeah, but you're not suing for this, sir. You're not suing for assault. No. So, I mean, although this is terrible, I don't have to look at it.
So, as soon as she hears me talking with the police officers, she runs out of my house, knocking over a chair on my porch, running through the gate, slamming it past the breaker point. I do have a picture of that also. And the last thing that I remember her saying to me are, oh, by the way, I'm Rob, a guy that she works with.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Guess what? It took me a nice 3 days to get over you.
It took me less than that, Nikki. I just had to wake up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Fitzgerald says when his girlfriend Nicole broke up with him, she left behind numerous unpaid bills.
Now, the last thing that you're suing her for is tattoo removal.
Yeah.
That I'm sure you want to tell me about.
Yes, I think I need to because it sounds funny.
It sure does, so let me hear.
Okay, we started dating back in 3.5 years ago. Okay, about 2 months after we began dating, she put, I love Scott, tattooed right here on her stomach. Okay. The night at the tattoo studio...
First mistake.
Actually, it wasn't 2 months.
Well, maybe it was
2 months,
3 or 4.
6 months, 20 years, it's always a mistake.
The night at the tattoo studio, she looked at me and said, okay, it's your turn. I wasn't about to do that. For the next 3 years, not that often, but every 6 months or so, every couple of months, she'd throw in a little comment about, oh, I have your name tattooed on me, go get my name tattooed on you. Constant things. Okay, back then, I loved this girl incredibly, and I honestly thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with her. So, yeah, I chose to go and get the tattoo put on me because of her, all right? Since then, with all the changes, now I would not have done that either unless she had been constantly bringing it back up. So I did it. Tattoo said, always loving my little Nikki.
Always loving my
little Nikki. Now, since her change in attitude caused my change in feelings about wanting to spend the rest of my life with her, it might sound ludicrous, Your Honor, but I can't help feeling that because of her change in feelings, it changed my change in feelings. I can't help but feeling that she's partly responsible for having that tattoo removed.
Okay, so you told me.
Yeah.
You got it off your chest?
Yep.
Got it off your chest? Good.
Actually, off my arm.
Okay. Miss Savoy, the thing that I want you to address first is this incident where you clearly burned his sofa with your cigarette.
I did throw the cigarette on his couch.
Why? It's 3:30 in the morning. You call your old boyfriend. You find him on the phone with somebody else. You're annoyed. You get into your car, 3:30 in the morning. Big mistake. First mistake was the tattoo you put on yourself. I'm sure there were others in between, but you were angry, you got into your car, and you went over there. So tell me your version of what happened.
I was upset with him. About a week before I threw the cigarette on this couch, we got into a really big fight. We were supposed to go out, and he got angry about a joke I made about his car or something. So I was going to leave. He slammed the door as I was opening it and strangled me.
That's not true, Your Honor, at all.
She was very quiet when you were talking, Richard.
Because I was telling the truth,
No,
Your
no,
Honor.
just a second.
I'm
She
telling
was
the
very
truth.
quiet when you were talking. Go ahead.
He grabbed me in his arm right in here, and he dragged me through the hall and flipped me on his bed, and he got on top of me, and he started strangling me, threatening to kill me and him. And every time I would try to scream, but nobody was home, I was trying to get his neighbor's attention.
This was a week before the cigarette.
Mm-hmm. He attacked me like that, and then I threw the cigarette on him, on his couch, because I was upset.
Just a second. Did you throw the cigarette on his couch then, or
Yes.
this 3:30 in the morning incident?
3:30 in the morning.
That was a week later.
Yeah.
Just a second. Are you a smart girl?
Yes.
A guy grabs you, puts you in a chokehold, assaults you, and according to you, a week later, you went to his house at 3:30 in the morning. Does that sound stupid?
Yeah.
Good. So you got there 3:30 in the morning, and what did you do?
Well, we were trying to work things out, and he said that he was just apologizing, and he wanted us to get back together. And then that night that he tells me he's on the phone with some girl, yeah, it really upset me. So I went over there, and I shouldn't have.
He apologized for what happened a week before, and then you found that he was on the phone with somebody else. So you damaged his sofa, right?
Yeah, but he's making a much bigger deal out of it. It's not like his friends haven't destroyed it anyway.
Well, I mean,
I
it's
know
not,
I made
it
a hole
doesn't
in his couch.
It doesn't look like it came from some boutique collection in the most expensive
And
sofa store.
stains can be cleaned off.
You may just have to live with this little cigarette hole in your sofa, sir, and the tattoo on your arm. Do you understand? This was a long-term relationship. It clearly has ended, I assume.
Yes.
Now, not very difficult. You have a countersuit. Your countersuit is for all your belongings that are at his house. You say he refuses to give you his belongings. Have you gotten them back?
No.
What do you have at his house?
I have all my dishes, all my furniture, like 10 boxes of personal belongings, books, clothes, a dresser,
And
basically
you
everything I
acknowledge that all
have.
that is in your house, sir?
Yes.
I've been living for 6 months without anything, no furniture, nothing.
All right.
I can't make a meal at home, nothing. And he says that we have an agreement, which is not even true. He did not tell me that he was going to keep my things till I paid him back. He did not ever say that. He said that when he got upset with me one day.
All right. Well, when you're in love, everything is wonderful. When you break up, nothing is wonderful.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You said you were going to give me my as soon as I had a place. You are so...
Not true.
Oh, my God. I don't even believe I went out with you. You were such a loser.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Fitzgerald says when his girlfriend Nicole broke up with him, she left behind numerous unpaid bills.
You clearly owed him $2,081.72, an amount that you acknowledge was put on his credit card, and it was a loan, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to pay him that. As far as the damage, sir, all the damage and all the things that you told me she broke, deal with it. Deal with it. The relationship is over, and the only damage that I saw, quite frankly, is a cigarette hole to a very old, battered sofa.
Okay.
Now, you can have it mended, you can turn over the cushion, you can do a lot of things so that you don't have to look at it. I'm certainly not giving you $500 to $1,000 for a new sofa. If you want $25 to have a weaver come in to see if they can fix up the hole, I would consider that. But as far as $500 to $1,000 for a new sofa, forget about it. And as far as having your tattoo removed, that's your stupidity. Again, you deal with it. Now, let's get to her things.
One more thing on that note, Your Honor, please. The car door, have you addressed that? I have an estimate for that.
Did you bang in his car door?
She kicked it in.
Did you kick in his car door?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was being a jerk like he always is.
Give me the estimate.
Your Honor, he's making me out to be the bad guy here, like I'm the abusive one. He's always abused me throughout the entire relationship, kicked in apartment doors, car doors, everything. Beat me a few times.
That's not true.
That is true.
not
You are
true.
totally lying right now, and you know
Then,
it.
Miss Savoy,
Beat
listen
you?
to me.
Yes, you have.
Hey.
A few times? Beat you? Even once?
Then you were foolish for sticking around, and you were foolish to go over there 3:30 in the morning to try to get him back. Do you understand?
You're right, and I'm gone
Good.
now.
So, then it's a good lesson. All right, so what is this whole thing? Install labor, tint, glass, rear door handle. She did all this damage?
Well, what's listed on there is not the damage. What they have to do when they do an invoice, they have to break it down for everything they have to do in order to fix it and give an actual time quote on how long that takes. She kicked in my door, so what they have to do is they have to break down the time.
Which door? I have front door, rear
My
door.
passenger, which would be the right front door. So what that breaks down is removing the moldings, removing the door handle,
Yeah, but
painting
it says I have a
prepping it.
rear door here, rear upper window molding, rear door handle. What does that have to do
No, I
with the
think it's
front
right.
door?
I think what is
Right rear. I have right rear, right front. Looks like they fixed the whole side of a car, not just one door. Take a
No,
look.
if
what it
I
says.
can look at it, I'll tell you.
Sure.
What that is that says refinish and blend because there's going to be new paint on that one door. It's not an old car, Your Honor. It's a 92 Ford Explorer, and I don't plan to keep it forever. When I go to sell it, they're going to see that that door's been repainted, and I'm not going to get as much money for it. Why do I have to lose that? So what they have to do is they have to blend the paint on the back door since it's next to it, as well as the paint on the front fender.
All right, let me see it.
It says over here on the second column under labor type, it says refinish and blend.
Okay. Temper. Okay. When could she have all of her property?
As soon as I get my money.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Okay. When could she have all of her property?
As soon as I get my money.
Well, you're going to get your money. $2,573 is what you're going to get. And that gives you $25 to have somebody come in and weave out this cigarette hole. So you're going to get your money. You want to do this exchange within 3 days?
I can't do it within 3 days. I'm working.
I'd like it.
Why not?
3 days.
Because I'm working, Your Honor.
When can you do it, sir?
To be honest with you, I'm having my house is being remodeled inside right now, and everything is like torn apart.
Money's tight.
So I can get it by not this weekend coming up, but the next weekend. I'm off that Saturday and Sunday, and I can spend those whole 2 days going through my house, everything that belongs to her.
Okay. Furniture?
There's very minimal furniture. There's a table and some chairs, as well as a mirror and a nightstand. And I think that's it for furniture. The rest of it's appliances.
What kind of appliances?
There's a microwave, coffee grinder, coffee machine, a blender, a toaster oven.
Where are you living now, sir?
I live in Burbank.
Are you living in the house while it's being remodeled?
Yes. But everything that was in my living room, bedroom, and office and hallway has been pushed into my kitchen. You can't even walk through there because I had the hardwood floors refinished.
Okay. A week from Saturday, make arrangements to pick up all your things. Do you understand?
No, Your Honor, I have a restraining order out on her. She can't come to my house, but I've already said that I'm more than willing to pay for a delivery company to pick everything up from my house.
Good. A week from Saturday, deliver it.
Okay.
Your
Okay?
Honor?
There. What?
I would like to go up there with a cop so I can get my things because I don't trust him to give me all my things back.
He's going to give you all your things back.
I don't believe he will.
Just a second. I can't. You have a restraining order. Is that right? He just said that there's a restraining order against you. Is that
Can
correct?
I send one of my friends over there?
No, he's going to sit. I don't want to create any more difficulty. I assume he does not either. If he's gone so far as to get a restraining order against you, Miss Savoy, I assume he doesn't want you to come again. I assume that if there's any item that is questionable,
I don't want
you'll
any.
use the smart thing, do the smart thing, pack it up and send it over. Good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Excuse me, step out.
On the next Judge Judy.
That's why I took out a restraining order.
Well, that's why I changed my number, moved, and changed my pager number,
Cool,
so
then stop calling my parents because that ain't gonna get me back.
I don't want you back. Trust me, I'm happy.
Party's on Creech versus Daniels. Step forward, please.
Susan Creech is suing Thomas Daniels, her 48-year-old live-in lover of 8 years. Susan says Daniels left her just a month after she bought him a Camaro. Daniels, a driver by occupation, took the car with him.
Order, all rise. Quiet, please, all rise. Your Honor, number 20 on the calendar in the matter of Creech versus Daniels. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
All right, Miss Creech, you were in a relationship with this gentleman for about 7 years, according to your complaint.
Yes.
And towards the end of that relationship, you say you lent him money to buy a car.
Right.
$4,000 to buy the car and another $1,100 for what?
For stereo and an alarm.
And how much after you made this loan to him did you separate?
About a month and a half.
You couldn't tell that there was handwriting on the wall?
No.
No?
No, I guess he could, but I couldn't.
You, sir, say that this was a gift.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So?
Not.
Tell me how it came about.
Okay. We had a car that we bought together, a Trans Am that we were going to sell.
A Trans Am?
The deal was he came home on March 28th and he took off with the car. The
Which
Trans
car?
Am. The Trans Am with his friend, supposedly to show it to somebody to sell. But actually, it went down to another woman's house. And so then he, the next morning, he took off with the Camaro.
Just a minute. How did we get to the Camaro? I want to know how you bought the Camaro.
I bought it with, my dad died and he left me some money. And it was in a separate account with my name on it. And I wrote the check to the company.
How did you
in
find
cash.
this Camaro?
Oh, we were shopping for parts at a wreckage company and they had the car for sale. And it was
This
a
was
good
about
deal.
a month before you separated.
Right.
So,
It was on
what was the
Valentine's
conversation
Day.
like when you saw this car?
Well, we were looking at the car, and he said, God, this is a good deal for $4,000, and it's 10 years younger, or older, younger, than what I already have. And so I said, well, let's think about it, because at the time he had quit his job and he wasn't working. And I said, if you get a job, then we'll get the car. Well, Monday came, he told me he had a job, which was a big lie. And then he
What
went
did he
back
say
to
to you?
his...
He got a job doing what?
Driving a truck, like he always does.
And you were living together at this time?
Yeah.
And you lived together the entire 7-year period?
On and off.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, on Thursday, the previous Thursday, he told me I have a job and I start Monday. So I believed him like an idiot. And Monday came and went, and so did the job. And then he went in and he has a drinking problem. He went in and he told me they decided not to accept me because, you know, the insurance wouldn't accept him.
What do you mean?
Well,
you mean
when
the
you have-
insurance for the trucking job?
Right, because he had a DUI like 10 years ago on his record.
Okay.
So, but the time was a little fishy, like when he left to when he went to this job. So amazing, he comes back to San Jose, and he got his old job back, where he always gets it back. You know what I mean? Because when he works well. It's when he doesn't work, he drinks. So we got the job back, and started driving the truck. But I never got any money back.
Just a
ever.
second. I still didn't hear how you bought the car.
Oh, then we went back to where this, you know, car was for sale, and he had a job, and I wrote the check, and the deal was he was supposed to be paying me back some money, but the money never came.
Now, when you got the car, you paid for the full amount. Is that
Yes.
right? So far, is that correct, sir?
Paying for the full amount, it is, Your Honor.
Okay. And you put the car in whose name?
Jointly.
Joint?
Joint.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, so far, that's at least one smart thing that you did.
Yeah, once in my life, yeah.
Okay. And then a month later, you separated.
Right.
But he also wanted a stereo in the car and an alarm.
Well, a week or two after that, we went down to this place where we had bought stereos and alarms before and just had it put in. I put it on the Visa. It was $1,100. So that's how.
So this was 2 weeks before you separated.
We bought the car on the 14th of February, and we bought the stereo on the 22nd of February.
And when did you separate?
The 29th of March.
Not a long time.
No.
So now you've got a
new
nice
car.
new Camaro with a stereo and an alarm.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what caused you to separate?
Her story is pretty well to the point. There's a few things that are just kind of a little iffy on that. For one thing, the other car is a 1976 Pontiac Firebird, not a Trans Am. There's a difference. Okay. And another thing, the part about getting a job never came up in.
Let's start about the part about the car.
The car.
Such a lie.
The car.
Okay.
You
car.
are such a liar.
Car. Miss
Why
Creech.
would I buy a
Miss
car
Creech.
if he had no job?
Miss Creech.
To pay me back. Such a liar.
Are we done?
No, we're
Yeah,
not done.
Miss Creech.
We're done.
If you want to talk to him, you go outside. If you want to talk to me, you can stay here.
Okay.
Thank
Is that
you.
fair?
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
7 years of this. Anyway, what I'm saying is there was no contract. We went to get parts for my car.
No contract with whom?
Her and I.
Let me have. You think that there should have been a contract
No,
between
no, no,
the
no,
two
no,
of you?
no. There shouldn't have been a contract because there was no question in my mind that
what?
That we were buying a car and it was going to be my car. She can't. Can you drive a stick?
Just a second.
Can you? She can't drive a stick, Your Honor.
What does that got to
Listen
do
to
with
me.
anything?
Listen to me. She said that you were buying this car because you were going to sell the old car that you had.
That's perfectly correct.
I know, because that's what you put in your answer.
Right, but the thing is, there was no time that I was going to sell the car. I said, I'm going to sell the car, which doesn't mean I had a buyer for it. The car is for sale right now.
The car's in Riverside.
Just a second. Shh.
The car has a for sale sign on it right now, Your Honor, in Riverside, at this young lady's house.
Yeah.
Okay?
Why do you think? And you have, so you have both cars.
Yes.
Let me understand this. Let me just put on my thinking cap and understand this whole thing. You have the Pontiac, right?
Correct, Your Honor.
You have the Camaro.
Correct, Your Honor.
You have the stereo.
Correct, Your Honor.
You have the alarm.
Correct, Your Honor.
She has the Visa bill.
Correct,
Right, just
Your
a
Honor.
second. She has the Visa bill. She has the Visa bill. She has the check stub for $4,000 and fond memories of you. That's what she has. You think that that's fair?
Your Honor.
Your Honor, I know who I am. Do you think that that's fair?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did you break up, sir?
I
That's
told
the
her
point.
either he goes or I go.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas Daniels says his former live-in, Susan Creech, is mad because he left her after 8 years. Susan says he left with the Camaro she paid for.
So how are we going to make it fair, sir?
Well, if I can convince you that I...
Order.
You asked me a question earlier about...
If you could convince me what?
If I can convince you that there was no she bought this Friday we went and took a look at the car. We didn't talk about the car all weekend long. Monday she goes, do you want to go and let's go and get your car? And I never mentioned it to her. Not one word did I say to her. Friday we talked about it. We discussed it. I said, I'll put the Firebird up for sale.
Just a minute. Let's go back.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You said, you discussed it, and you said, I'll put the Firebird up for sale. Whatever we get to the Firebird, we can put towards this, and then we will pay it off.
No.
No.
No. I said I would put the Firebird up for sale.
For what?
Huh? Well, I can't drive both cars, Your Honor.
And what are we going to do with the money that you got from the Firebird?
Okay.
Oh,
We
not
had a
okay.
joint. We
Not
had a joint.
okay.
We
Answer
had,
my
Your Honor,
question.
we had a joint account.
Just a second.
My checks went with her account. Her checks went in her account. Okay? She had all
My
the Visa
check, just a
cards.
second. My checks, you just said, went with her account.
You're damn right.
And her check,
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
my checks went in her account, and her checks went in
Her account.
her account.
We had a joint account. Okay?
So that all the checks went together.
Right. Who had
You were going to sell the Firebird
and put it back
in the joint account.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's okay. So that you have money to pay for the Visa, the $1,100 paying
Very
off the
good.
Visa and all that stuff. Right? Just a minute. Am I right so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, then you didn't sell the Firebird, and I am correct. She has the memories and the bills, and you have the cars and the stereo.
Correct.
So then what's the problem?
Miss Creech,
Yes.
I don't see, quite frankly, sir, that there's any problem. You bought this car, and there was an understanding, a 7-year relationship, there was an understanding that you were going to use this car together. Evidently, you did the driving. She was the passenger in the car most of the time when you traveled together. You were going to have one car. You were going to sell the Firebird. You were going to have the Camaro, right?
She has her own car, Your Honor.
That's true, but I also have my own vehicles, which I drive.
She can't drive my car, Your Honor. She knew going into this deal, going into this proposition, that it was a stick, Your Honor. She can't drive a stick.
He always buys cars that have sticks. Every
They're-
single car
they're my
he's
vehicles.
ever owned.
But just a second, if you buy, they're your vehicles, if you buy them, she bought this one, and you
With
say it was
our money, Your Honor.
What do you mean with our? Just a minute.
It was
She
a
says-
joint account. It was a joint account, Your Honor. It was our money.
Just a second.
My money went in there also. It was not just her money.
Hold on. $4,000. She said this $4,000 came from
In 7 years' time, I
I'm
have
not
worked
talking-
more than $4,000, Your Honor.
No, we're not
I have
just a
put
minute.
money in his bank.
Just a second. I'm talking about the $4,000 that she took out of an account. Did she take that out of your joint account?
No.
No.
Well, then that wasn't your joint money.
Funny, we
We're
had
not
no
going
money
back
in
to
it,
the,
huh?
Listen, sir, we're not going back to the year of the flood. You were together 7 years. You ate a lot of meals during those 7 years.
Drank a lot
you
of
paid a
beer.
lot of rent. You whatever. She says you drank a lot of booze.
Lots.
Whatever it was, you lived over that 7 years. And you can't say, well, I must have given her $4,000 over that 7 years. That doesn't sound right to you. This $4,000, she says, came out of a probate account when someone in her family died and left her some money.
Right.
But is it your position that she bought you these things as a gift as a gift?
As a gift.
Why? Because she loved you?
Yeah.
And because she thought you were going to be together?
I thought, yeah.
Okay. So that dream lasted another 4 weeks after she bought
But there's
you this
a lot
stuff.
more to it, Your Honor.
I know. I'm not interested in what happened 6 years ago and 5 years ago. What I want to know, sir, is what was the precipitous for your breaking up 4 weeks after you bought this car?
Okay, Your Honor.
That's me.
She has a son, a 19-year-old son who does not work, has been graduated out of school, does nothing more than run around with gangs, does nothing more than get stopped for, wait a minute, doesn't get stopped for tagging, gets thrown in jail for tagging. I've told her that she goes to work at 11 o'clock at night. I stay home and sleep.
Why did you break up, sir?
I
Get
told
to
her
the point.
either he goes or I go. Okay? He was staying. I said, hasta la vista. And I left.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
As long as I never have to see or hear from you again, I'm happy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ex-lovers Susan Creech and Tom Daniels are fighting over the Camaro she bought just before they broke up.
2 weeks after I'm gone, she kicks him out of the house and then says to me, well, you were right.
Not 2 weeks.
Just a second. Just a second.
She says,
Hold
you're
it.
right. You're right.
Right.
I said, but what did it take me leaving the house for? Because we've been fighting about it for months, literally months. And it got to the point where I just said, hey, I'm beating my head against the wall. I come home here and try and get a good night's sleep, and all I'm doing is listening to boom boxes at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go down there. And I got tired of threatening the kid. Okay? Doesn't prove that I'm a big man because I can threaten a 19-year-old kid. All right?
So
I got
why-
tired of it.
So why are you angry with her?
Angry with her?
Shh. Yeah, why are you angry with her? You gave her
Because
a choice.
I gave her all the warnings in
No,
the world.
let
Your
her-
Honor, I gave her all the warnings in the world. I said, look, either he goes or I go. I gave her 30 days. 30 days came and passed. I gave her 60.
You have
what was I
children?
going to do?
You have children?
Do I have children? Of my
why you
own,
keep
yes.
Why do you keep repeating
Yes,
my
Your Honor,
questions?
I do.
How old are your children, sir?
21, 27, and 16, I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
I don't see them.
You don't see them.
No,
Why is that?
I don't see my children.
Well,
That's not fair.
then let me suggest this to you, sir. It's very difficult for a parent, in this case a mother, to be faced with an ultimatum, even from a maid of 7 years, that says it's either your son or me. When you say you got 30 days to choose your son or me, even though he's a pain in the neck, listen, that's not an easy choice for a mother to make. She clearly cared for you. She cared enough for you, and she doesn't look like a lady who's got money coming out of every pore. So she clearly cared enough for you to go out and say, you want this car, you really like it, here's $4,000, I'm going to buy this car because I know it will make you happy if we have this car. And you also like a nice stereo in the car. I'm going to take money out for that too, so that you can have a nice stereo in the car. So she's clearly a lady who cared for you. But when you tell her you got 30 days to choose between him or me, even if this son of hers is a real royal pain in the rump, which I believe he probably is.
He was.
Right? Because
So was he.
because afterwards you told him out. Right. It's not easy to accept that kind of ultimatum from anybody when it comes to a child.
Well, the problem was, though, he had plenty of chances. He's done some really choice things in his life. I felt like I was giving everybody chances, but he's such a selfish person. He has to have everything to himself. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not a very difficult decision to make. You left, you had been having problems, according to your statement, Mr. Daniels, for months with regard to this boy.
So why did he take both cars? I'd like to know why.
I wasn't planning on leaving one to have it trashed.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. How about the
Mr. Daniels,
how about the
Mr.
Firebird?
Daniels.
How about the Fiaro? How about the Fiaro? Who keyed the Fiaro?
Me.
Thank you. I'm going to leave a Pontiac sitting there by itself, Your Honor.
Why would I?
For this woman to key up again?
Mr. Daniels,
Doesn't make any
Mr.
sense.
Daniels,
It still wasn't her car.
Why didn't you bring leave her the Camaro?
Pardon me?
Because he wanted
Just a second. What word didn't you understand?
I wanted the Camaro.
Because
Yeah, but just a...
Good.
You wanted the Camaro, Mr. Daniels, but she paid for it. But she paid for it. If you were leaving after 4 weeks, it seems to me a little disingenuous of you, sir, to leave and take a car that she had just purchased for you.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Need help in a divorce dispute? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think she bought, and I keep saying bought this car for you to use because she had faith that your relationship was going to continue?
Yeah, I'm sure she had.
Ah, okay. It's no different a situation to me, sir, from somebody giving somebody an engagement ring. And it's always been my position that when a man buys a woman an engagement ring, that's given under a sort of a contract that they have, that they will be together and that they will marry. And in the event that that marriage does not take place, it has always been my position that the ring has to go back to the man. Now, a lot of women say, listen, he gave that to me, it was a gift. But the gift was given with the intention, that ring was given with the intention of the marriage taking place. When that doesn't happen, the contract is over. This car was bought in contemplation of the two of you being together. Maybe if you had been together for 20 years, I would say, well, you know, you were together for 20 years after you bought this car, so that was sort of fulfilled. But there is something that doesn't sit right with me here that you left in a month's time, taking the car, the stereo, as well as the alarm. The alarm should have gone off in your head. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Is there a way that you can make him bring the other car up from Riverside? Because he wants me to go down and get it.
Madam, let me explain something to you. You've just told me this man drinks.
Mm-hmm.
He is selfish.
True.
He's self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
He gave you an ultimatum with regard to your child, right?
True.
He perhaps has not been totally faithful to your relationship.
Big time.
Big time?
Big time.
You just won a
You're
judgment for $5,000. What do you want a 20-year-old Pontiac for? Right?
True.
Perfect. $5,000 for the plaintiff.
I desire excuse, you may step out.
On the next Judge Judy.
He just doesn't like to tell the truth. That's all. I don't know what else.
That's
to
your
say.
opinion.
He has no conscience. He has no
That's your
heart.
opinion.
That is my opinion.
Okay, that's not my opinion.
That's okay. He asked me.
As long as I never have to see or hear from you again, I'm happy, all right? I had a drunk driving ticket in 1989.
And he's been drinking
Since that
ever
time,
since.
I've not had a ticket since.
Luckily.
I have a perfect drive.
Luckily.
You want to speak for me
No,
or what?
No, luckily.
Why don't you just hush?
Most of the time he's quitting his job. Most of the time he's philandering. Am I lying, Thomas?
It's your tail.
Am I lying,
It's
Thomas?
her tail.
Yeah, okay.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, I have no more to say. She can be
Good.
speaking for me.
No problem.
She's done it for 7 years. Why should she not do it now?
Party's on Satowski versus Baxter. Step forward, please.
24-year-old waitress Natalie Satowski is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old bouncer Les Baxter, for wrecking her Mustang and leaving her without paying the rent. Les says it was a minor accident and she wrecked it afterwards.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Satowski versus Baxter. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Okay, the romance is over and you say he owes you some money.
Yes.
You lived together for how long?
About 1 year total.
And you moved into an apartment together, according to the papers.
Yes, we did.
And so you're complaining about two things. First, that he moved out 2 months early, leaving you with the rent for 2 months, right?
Correct.
And then you say he drove and damaged your car.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the car first.
Okay.
During what period of time did you live together? From what month and year to what month and year?
I'd say probably 95, the end of 95 to the end of 96.
And tell me about this car incident. When did it happen?
It happened the early summer that I met him. I had known him for 3 months. He asked to borrow my car, brought it back about 2 hours later. It was a sunny summer day, and he said, I have something to show you. So I went outside, we looked at the car, and I was going to report it to my insurance company, but he said, I want to pay for it. He said, I wouldn't feel right unless I paid for it. And I said, fine.
Well, what was wrong with the car?
He rear-ended a van on I-5. Mm-hmm. The hood's damaged. I have estimates here, 2 estimates.
Did you ever have the car fixed?
No.
This was the summer of 1995. Is that what you're telling me? What? You said it was in the summer before you moved in together. That had to be the summer of 1995.
Okay.
So now we're in the summer of 1998. Where have you been for 3 years?
Well, we dated for a year, and I've been trying to contact Les and work out some kind of...
This happened in the summertime. You didn't get the car fixed. Let's say it happened in the late summertime, in August. August, September, October, November, December. Then in December of 95, you moved in together. What happened to the car?
I drove it. It was just that he said that he would pay for it. We were in a relationship. I trusted him. And it just, he didn't show any kind of, he would borrow money from me on many occasions, small amounts, and always pay me back. But that large amount, I mean, it's about $1,300 in damage. So I didn't expect him to just come up with the money right away. So after our...
Ms. Satowski.
Yes.
My sense is that during the time that you were together, from the summer of 1995 until December of 1996, you didn't expect him to come up with this money at all. It just doesn't sound logical to me that for a year and a half, 6 months after this happened and you moved in together, nothing happened with this car.
I would have reported it to my insurance company if he said that he wouldn't feel right unless he paid for it.
Okay. Now, let's get to the second issue, and then I'm going to turn this over to you, Mr. Baxter. He moved out 2 months before the lease was up.
Yes. 1 month.
1 month. So he owes you half of 1 month's rent.
Yes.
And how much was that rent? $600?
$610.
$610. And you were paying half that rent, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's $305.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So tell me why you don't think that you owe her half of the last month's rent, which would have been $305. Yes.
I told her in December that I couldn't handle her lifestyle, and so I was moving out sometime early January, and then I did. I was out January 5th.
Did you pay her for January?
Not at all.
Well, you stayed there part of January.
5 days.
So what?
Yeah. I
mean, she couldn't get somebody else. She couldn't get somebody else to come into the apartment. You know, to.
All my stuff was out.
When did you move your body out of that apartment, sir?
When did I give her the keys physically?
Yes.
The 5th of January.
Okay. Now let me hear about this car, because I'm really not impressed with her story, but let's hear your story about the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you damage her car?
Slightly, yes.
Okay. And did you tell her you were going to pay for the damage?
I told her that I'd pay the deductible, and then she told me that the insurance was lapsed because she didn't pay it, and then it became a $1,500
That is so
bill.
untrue.
Just a second. You said you would pay the deductible?
Yeah, of what it would cost to fix the car. But she said there was no insurance, and now it became a $1,500 bill. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's get 3 estimates. We got 1 estimate from a friend's shop, and I think they were under the impression that they were going to be paying for an insurance deal, so they were giving high rates. So they were replacing everything: bumper, hood, shocks, struts, all the different components to the suspension and steering system.
Well, I'm going to see your estimate. Can I see the estimate, please?
They only give you estimates for what's been damaged.
Let me
That
just see
was
the estimate, please.
Okay. I had insurance at the time.
Why wasn't this taken care of during the year that you were living together?
Well, I was going to pay the deductible, but now that I was trying to come up with a $1,500 bill, of which was all replacement, not fixing. Fixing was buffing out the bumper, which there were about 6 to 10 scratches on, and a slightly bent hood. I wasn't going to pay for a dent that happened while she was at work, that happened on her left fender, and I was not going to fix the fact that she took her car into a ditch during an ice storm.
That was after the accident, Les. That was after the estimates. That was the first accident.
Ms. Satowski, he says that one of the problems is that you've had a major accident with the car since this happened.
Uh-huh, correct.
Now, after you had this major accident with the car, did you have it fixed?
No.
So you've had 2 accidents with the car and you haven't had the car fixed for either one?
Correct.
Okay. You split up in December of 1996. What did you do for the whole first year? Why didn't you file a small claims court claim against him immediately after you broke up?
I didn't want to go to court. I thought that there was some way that we could work out a payment plan that I wouldn't have to take it to this level.
So, but you waited over 2.5 years to pursue this. I mean, something doesn't sit right with me.
Well, in the meantime, I got married. I mean, I do have a life besides just collecting money from Les.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Mr. Baxter, she doesn't have insurance.
Right.
But you wrecked the car. So the fact that she said she didn't have insurance to cover it, it's really not the issue.
And later today,
You wanted to ride on the motorcycle.
Yes.
So you get on this motorcycle and you do a couple of wheelies and the motorcycle goes out of control and you wreck it.
In a nutshell, yes.
That's what I'm here for in a nutshell.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Natalie Satowski wants her former boyfriend, Les Baxter, to pay her money for rent and a wrecked Mustang.
Let me see pictures of the car. You don't deny that there was some damage to the car?
There was some slight damage, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, in my estimation...
On the bumper?
Yeah.
I see something on the bumper.
Yeah, there's some slight scratches on the bumper right between the grill.
There are cracks.
And I see, did you smash a front headlight?
No.
Yes, you did.
Hey!
I didn't smash it. I replaced it.
You replaced the one, you actually went and
Yes.
to a shop and replaced it?
Yes, I also replaced the 2 bulbs underneath where the 2 lights are.
That had nothing to do with the wreck.
What was the deductible that you were under the impression she had as insurance?
I estimated the maximum deductible would be $500.
All the time that you were living together, sir, had you discussed paying for this car, paying for the damage to the
Yeah,
car?
I wanted her to get some more estimates because I thought
But
the
you were
estimate...
living together. You were sharing the same bed. You were eating 3 meals a day
Right.
together. So during the year's time, how much time did you devote to talking about this?
She brought it up probably 5 or 6 times out of the whole year and a half that we were together.
And what was your response when she brought it up?
I'm like, well, I'll pay for it when you give me another estimate because I think it's a little too high, and I also feel that, you know, there should have been insurance done. But there was no insurance.
Mr. Baxter, she doesn't have insurance.
Right.
But you wrecked the car. I mean, you
Okay.
damaged the car. You didn't wreck it. She's been driving it for 3 years without having it fixed.
Right.
After either accident, she hadn't had it fixed.
Right.
So the fact that she didn't have was said she didn't have insurance to cover it. It's really not the issue. You want to say something?
I had insurance. He didn't even know what the deductible was because I didn't even know. I mean, this whole insurance...
Let me tell you what I know, Ms. Sataski.
Okay.
Under the circumstances of this case, I find it relatively bizarre that 3 years have gone by before you pursue this action. 2 years after you're no longer living together. That after he had this accident, before you were living together, you moved in together, you shared the same bed, you shared the same house, you took an apartment together and didn't resolve this issue. And you waited until after you're married. You're the husband?
Yes.
After you're married, how long are you married?
A year.
A year after you're married to pursue something that happened 3 years ago. I find that kind of bizarre. And I've also looked at the pictures of the damage to the car. I don't have 3 estimates. I only have 1 estimate.
You have 2.
Well, I have one that superimposes. Some damage is on one, some damage is on the other. I don't have 2 separate estimates. I have one for $1,300.
You have 2.
What I'm saying to you is, I don't understand why it took you 3 years and driving the car and having another accident to pursue this claim. I haven't a clue
I didn't want
as
to go to
why.
court. That's why.
I'm giving you $500 to buff out, paint up the car, do whatever you like with it, and $305, which is your share of the last month's rent. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
That's a total of $805. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $805. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I can't believe this.
I couldn't understand why she waited so long. I talked to her, I told her I wanted the estimates, and I hadn't heard from her since, and that was last June.
He's a liar and a deadbeat. He lied and got away with it.
And now the next case.
All parties on Eckert versus Fenton. Step forward, please.
27-year-old Bryce Eckert is suing his former best friend, 25-year-old Brad Fenton, for crashing his motorcycle. Brad is countersuing for medical bills and injuries from the crash.
You two were best friends. You were visiting and staying with him for a while in his house?
Yes, Your Honor, I have.
And you have a motorcycle?
Yes, I do.
You decided you wanted to ride in the motorcycle?
Bryce was actually pulling it out of the garage and decided that he was going to let me have a crack at
What do you mean? You
riding the
just
motorcycle.
You wanted to ride on the motorcycle?
Yes.
I knew we'd get to it. So you get on this motorcycle and you do a couple of wheelies and the motorcycle goes out of control and you wreck it.
In a nutshell, yes, that's right.
That's what I'm here for in a nutshell. You're suing, you want him to pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
The damage.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds right? Sounds
yes.
fair?
Oh, yes.
He wrote it, he wrecked it, he should pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
That I understand. Your defense, I don't understand.
Okay.
Your defense is that you are so furious with him for his negligence that you want him to pay for all your medical bills and your scars and the injuries that you suffered as a result of that accident. So you're countersuing him.
Correct.
Explain me.
Due to the fact that this is a dual sport or dual use type motorcycle, he has an insurance policy on it that would cover my medical bills as an operator or a passenger.
Mm-hmm.
Had it been a solely used dirt machine or off-road machine, then
So
it
your
might be a little bit
complaint
different
is, because
story.
I read this, your complaint is since he has insurance, he should have put this claim into his insurance.
Yes, of course.
That would have covered not only the damage to the motorcycle, but also your medical bills. Right?
Right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You took a pretty bad spill on it because you said you were pretty badly injured.
Well, as the bike was going down, I took it upon myself to hit the ground first and go underneath it to try to protect it.
So you don't even think about that when you're going down.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. 27-year-old Bryce Eckert is suing his former best friend, 25-year-old Brad Fenton, for crashing his motorcycle. Brad is countersuing for medical bills and injuries from the crash.
Well, first I'm going to let you tell me why you didn't want to put this into your insurance.
Because I have a perfect, driving record on the insurance as far as it is right now, And if I'd have put it through, it would have cost me more every month on my insurance.
Absolutely right.
You know, there's no reason for me to do that.
Absolutely right. I just wanted you to say it. If he put it into his insurance, which I'm sure he explained to you, that means that his premiums would go up probably for the next 5 or 7 years. Why should he do that?
When it initially happened, he had agreed that the only thing we should replace would have been the handlebars. Oh, don't worry, I was primarily concerned with the motorcycle the second that it happened. He said, don't worry about it, sit down, look at you, you're bleeding all over the place.
Well, he's a friend.
He had said, we're just going to take care of the handlebars, let's just leave it at that since we're friends. Then he goes down and gets estimates on it, full dollar amount estimates with labor and materials, tax, everything, to get the bike fixed.
That's because you wrecked it.
Well, you took a pretty bad spill on it because you said you were pretty badly injured.
Well, as the bike was going down, I took it upon myself to hit the ground first and go underneath it to try to protect it.
Ah, so you don't even think about that when you're going down.
I did.
So let me ask you this, sir. You want me to consider your counterclaim for $5,000 for your pain and suffering and injury for an accident that you caused?
On his property. I mean, he basically handed me the bike and said, yes, you know, ride the bike, go ahead. He's taken the liability of my getting injured.
Let's talk about
himself.
responsibility. First of all, why don't you pass up the estimates for the bike? I wish all the cases I had were so easy. Mr. Fenton, you have to take responsibility for what you do. So you're responsible for any damage that you caused to the bike. He's not responsible for your injuries. Sure, he could put this into his insurance company. Why should he suffer any damage, any detriment now or down the line with increased premiums because of your foolishness?
As a friend, I thought that given that we had been friends for such amount of time, I figured we could eventually work it out.
What do you mean work it out? What does that mean?
Buy the handlebars, put the handlebars on.
I said to you, could you answer my question? We're not going to get away from my question. My question was, originally you weren't planning on suing him for your injuries.
No, and I didn't think he was going to file on me
Just
either.
a second. The answer is no. So originally he was concerned about... I'm not letting you talk a lot. Is that all right with you?
That's fine with me. Go with it.
Thank you.
It's my line.
Originally, when he looked at you, his friend laying there on the ground bleeding, he really wasn't concerned about anything else, I assume, but you. That's what you just said.
Yes, I did say that.
Right? So originally he was just concerned with you, but after it was all over and he took a look at his bike and he saw what you did to the bike, he says you should fix it. Then you said to him, that's what you have insurance for. Is that what happened?
In a nutshell, kind of.
Oh, it's so glad I have life's experience.
I've got 2 estimates there.
What was the cheapest?
The lowest one's the one I went for. I didn't go for the high one.
So what was that altogether?
There was one for $420, plus there was a plastic cover that goes over the front disc brake that was damaged, and that's the other small estimate. That was for like 30 some odd dollars, so it came in for like $454.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay. Did you have it fixed yet?
No, I haven't. The bike's still sitting in the garage. I bought a new set of handlebars for it just for that sole purpose, so I could ride it. And I put the new handlebars on. I've ridden it maybe once or twice since I put them on. It's just cosmetically, the bike is you know, messed up now. There was only one scratch on the bike when I bought it, you know, from my landlord, and that was up on the sticker on the front cowl.
How much did you pay for the bike when you bought it from your landlord?
$1,200.
How long before this accident did you purchase the bike?
Maybe, what, 3 months, 4 months? Not even that.
He had it a short time. You paid $1,200 for it, and to fix it and put it back in the condition that it was before he did a wheelie on it, it'll cost you $450?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, $450, judgment for the plaintiff. Countersuit is dismissed, sir. It's nonsense.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Given that he had to file on me, you know, pretty much told me that he wasn't a friend, and I might as well go ahead and try to countersue. I guess we can't go back and relive it, so we need to just go on and be happy with the judge's decision.
He kept coming back saying he was going to take, you know, care of it here and there, but nothing was happening. We're still partners. We used to ride all the time together.
On Miller versus Hager. Step forward, please.
Dairy farmer Bird Miller wants 31-year-old Jason Hager to pay the damage caused to his pickup truck after clubbing it. Jason claims it was self-defense.
Order. All rise. Judge, number 204 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hager. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Have a seat. Here you go.
Shame on you both. Always strikes me is when two adult men get into a car and get into a contest and let their testosterone take off and rule their heads, there's trouble, especially when there's a child in the car, like this gorgeous little blonde thing. Mr. Miller, you're suing Mr. Hager because you say that after some sort of a dispute in your car, he was driving his, you yours, he attacked your car with a club.
Yes.
And caused almost $400 worth of damage to the car. Tell me how it started, sir.
I was making a turn off of Valley View Street. I was going south. There's a frontal road there beside of it. Hager was coming, going south also on it. He run the stop sign. And as a result of it, I almost hit him. If I hadn't stopped, I would have hit him. I blew my horn. He raised his finger at me, and we proceeded down the frontal road.
So you're both now going in the same direction?
We're both going in the same direction.
And this is your grandchild?
Yes.
She was in the car with you?
Yes.
Where was she sitting, front or back?
Well, it was a pickup, so she's in the front.
Right next to you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We came to an alley that runs down behind a shopping mall, and we proceeded down it, and we got to the end of the stores.
Which car was first and which car was second?
He was following me.
Just a second. His car was first, your car was second.
Yes.
Were you following him, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I was behind him. I mean,
were you following?
I'm going in that direction.
He was chasing me.
Shh, just a second. I'm going to get to you in a second, sir. You said you got to an alley.
Well, it's an alley, and it's also behind the store, but it's a parking lot also.
Well, were you going into that parking lot, sir?
No, I wasn't going into the parking lot.
So you were actually not behind him. You were following him.
Okay, I was following him.
Now, why were you following him?
So I could get his tag number.
Okay. And then what happened?
As we got to the end of the stores, there's also another small frontal road that leads to the front of the stores. He partially made the turn and stopped, jumped out, grabbed his club, and ran at me while I'm stopped. I had, in the meantime, stopped. He ran about 30 feet towards my truck, ran up to the side of me, took a swing at me. I pulled my truck forward, and he hit the back of my cab.
Can I see the damage to your car?
If you'll notice, Your Honor, the damage is at an angle as if he was swinging something, and you'll see that it's also right in line with me in the truck. So if I hadn't pulled forward, he would have hit me in the truck.
This has an open top, sir?
No, it's you looking at. May I get it to you? Oh, come on, surely. I take better pictures than that.
I got it. I got it now. Oh, I thought it was a convertible truck. I hadn't seen one of those. All right. Now I got it. All right, Mr. Hager, let's hear you, sir.
Well, what he said is correct as far as he was following me. I was very close to my home. I didn't want him, I wasn't going to go home knowing he was following me. I became fearful, wasn't sure what I should do. So yeah, I stopped, and in an attempt to defend myself, knowing that not knowing what he's going to do, I did take my club. He sees me stop. He's coming at me. He puts his head out the window of his truck and says, "I'm going to run you over." That's when he started to come at me with the truck. I jump out of the way, and he backs up a little bit and comes at me again. The second time is when he came close enough to me that I could swing and hit the truck.
All right, so I have a few questions for you, Mr. Hager. You live in that area, sir?
Yes. I was less than a block away from my home.
And how long have you lived there?
About 18 months.
So you know where the local police precinct is?
Actually, I found it after this.
You mean you didn't know before?
No. Well, it's a very large city. I wasn't sure where to go.
I don't believe you, sir. You see, I see this. You see, I see this around here.
Well,
and I'm like a truth machine. So don't tell me that you didn't know where to find a policeman.
I went to. Well, no, that would have been the alternative. Was drive around.
That's an alternative rather than getting out of your car with a club.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem to me to be logical, sir, that if you're in fear of your life, you are defending yourself against a 2-ton truck with a 2-pound club.
Right.
You see, that doesn't make sense. To me, what makes sense is if you're in fear, you stay in your car. What kind of a car were you driving?
A Camaro.
So you stay in your Camaro and you drive around until you see a police car, if you don't know where the local police precinct is.
Right.
Right.
But I thought of that after, but in the fear, I wasn't thinking that logically.
Listen to me, Mr. Hager. Why were you in fear, sir? You were in your car, windows closed, right? Windows closed.
No.
You could have closed the windows, Mr. Hager, right? You do have electric windows in your Camaro?
Yes.
So you press a button, you close the window, and you keep driving, and you say to yourself, I got some nut here behind me. I'm not going to get out of this car. I'm going to stay in my car. But you get out of your car. Where was the club?
On the passenger seat.
You pick up the club, and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Wonder how afraid he was when he stuck his finger up. Could we ask him that question?
And later today,
Make me look like a liar. Make me look bad when you know you was stripping and you know you was working, Nicole. Don't stand there and lie.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bird Miller says Jason Hager's gesture led to violence, smashing Bird's pickup.
You pick up the club and you get out of your car. That doesn't make sense to me, Mr. Hager. It doesn't, it's illogical, sir.
To drive around looking for the police, I needed to, at some point, decide I'm going to stop and defend myself. That was it.
Defend yourself against what, sir?
This gentleman.
He's in his car.
I don't know that he's going to threaten to run me over. I think he's going to get out.
How can he run you over in your Camaro, sir? Sitting in your car, how can he run you over, Mr. Hager?
He can't.
Right. Sitting in your car, he can't run you over. Only when you're outside of your car, standing there armed with a weapon, can he run you over. Your mistake was getting out of the car. And then you hit his truck. So you were in a combat posture with a weapon. I mean, I'm not suggesting that what this man did was correct. I think, Mr. Miller, to be quite honest with you, sir, you're old enough to use your brains, and if this guy ran a stop sign, as you say, of course, you didn't run the stop sign. Is that correct?
Correct.
I knew that. I knew that's what you would say. But you have a very precious cargo. Not you, her. And so if you have a very precious cargo, and if you were fortunate enough, and God was watching you, and you didn't have an accident at that stop sign, you take a deep breath, and you say, phew, finished. I'm grateful that there was no accident, and you keep going. If you can get his license, that's fine. But to follow him into an alley is not swift.
It's really not an alley, Your Honor. I understand what you're saying, but
you understand what I'm saying.
I don't mean it's a,
I understand, but you got hot.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not denying it at all.
Yeah, well, you want to get hot with you alone in the car. That's one thing, but you don't get hot when you have a baby in the car, especially a baby that looks like that.
Could I add something to this?
Sure, sir.
Okay. He said I almost hit him there at the stop sign. If you look at the pictures, you will see there's a medium between Valley View and where he would have been sitting. So, in other words, I would have had to jump across the medium in order to hit him.
Interesting, not terribly relevant, because we're not talking about what happened at the stop sign. What we're talking about was Mr. Hager's. You both exercised poor judgment on that day, in my view. But Mr. Hager's judgment is going to cost him the amount that you claim you spent or will spend to fix your car, and I assume you have a bill for that.
Your Honor, I have a bill for the damage. I don't have a bill for a rental car. It'll take 3 days to fix the truck, which is $25 a day.
Well, Mr. Miller, for your bad judgment, it's going to cost you to rent your car.
All right.
For his bad judgment, it's going to cost him to fix your car. And the grand total here is $279.80 to fix your car. Mr. Hager, it was a very dumb thing that you did, because he may not have been the kind of person that he is, and he may have, in fact, run you over. And
I'm sure of that.
And your 2-pound club wasn't going to help you. So,
well, you know, my question is, if he cares enough about this truck to get it fixed, why is he chasing people and threatening them with it?
Mr. Hager, he wasn't smart to try to chase you to get your plate number, and I assume that that's what he was trying to do. He did not get out of his cab. You got out of your car. Dumb. Stupid. And not only did you get out of your car, you got out of your car with a weapon. So it's going to cost you. The amount it's going to cost you is the amount that it's going to cost to fix his car. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Joe.
Out the back door to your right, please.
Come on.
And now the next case.
Parties on Cruz. Ambrosini versus Hernandez. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Moses Cruz, claim exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez owes them a refund on a condo.
You folks were living in the same hotel that the defendant was living in temporarily. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you became friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Well, we didn't become friends there. We became friends at work.
Okay. Don't tell. And there came a time when you were going to buy a condo. Is that right?
Yes.
And you approached the defendants to see if they wanted to rent a room in your condo that you were purchasing.
Exactly.
According to these papers, you said yes?
Yes.
And you needed some money.
Exactly.
How much money did you need?
$700.
And as sort of a down payment on their room, you gave her the $700?
Correction, Your Honor, that was $750. I have 2 contracts here signing. I had to pay a $500 first month and a $250 security deposit.
Okay, can I see what you have there,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. These are 2 pieces of evidence that I have, 2 contracts that Lisette signed herself.
Okay, fine. So let's assume it was $750. This is some contract.
I was in a rush, Your Honor. Grabbed the first thing I could. The next one's better.
Okay. And then, for some reason, which I'm sure that you will tell me, you decided not to move into the condo, and she gave you back $100, according to these papers. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, she has.
And you want the other $650.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was dancing with me. We were both dancers.
I'm
okay?
sorry, I'm 16
And I made
years old.
$3,000.
I'm 16 years old.
I made $3,000, and she know that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Nicole Ambrosini and her 20-year-old boyfriend, Moses Cruz, want the money back on a condo from exotic dancer Lisette Hernandez. Lisette says they moved out without giving notice.
Well, there came a time, I gather from these papers, that you moved out of the hotel but did not move right into the condo.
Right, Your Honor.
Where did you move?
Okay, at that time, we needed
This
a
is
place.
your boyfriend?
Yes, this is my boyfriend, Moses. We were looking for another location to live while we were waiting for the condo. We were going to just stay in the hotel. It was very expensive, so Lisette kindly offered us to stay in her boyfriend's house and pay $100 a week. We did that, and we stayed there for about 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, and we paid him for every week. At that time, we were told that she needed the money immediately, and we gave that to her within 3 days because she had said she had a closing to meet. And it would
Closing
be,
on the condo.
Yes.
I understand that.
She said it would be about a month to get it, okay? So in our minds, we're thinking, okay, we only have to tough this out for about a month. We wound up not getting a condo or not moving into a place for 3 months. We were waiting to move in for 3 months.
Just a minute.
For 3 months, Your Honor.
Did you stay in the boyfriend's house for 3 months?
Yes. No, we did not. We stayed in the boyfriend's house for about 3 weeks. The other times we were staying at the hotel, and then my father was moving out of his apartment, and he was moving out half of the month early. So
you moved someplace else.
Yes. Right.
But there came a time when you ultimately said to her, I don't want to move in.
Right.
And when was that?
That was in, I guess, February, March, April.
How much
April.
after you had left the hotel and moved into the boyfriend's house did you tell her, I want my money back, I don't want to move in?
About a month.
That's a lie.
Okay, you tell me.
That's a lie. It was one day. Okay, this is what happened. When they moved into the apartment with my boyfriend, with me and my boyfriend, they was paying $100 a week, which is true. Okay, now, when they was moving out, I didn't know they was moving out. My boyfriend tells me one day, Lisette, do you know that they moving out? I said, what? He said, yeah, they're moving out. I said, no, I don't know nothing about it. He said, well, I'm getting ready to leave, so when I leave, you talk to them and ask them. When I came to you and asked her, I said, Nicole, y'all moving out? She said, yeah, we moving out. My father left me. Wait a minute. My father left me. My father left me an apartment, and I'm going to move into it, and we're going to keep paying the rent there or whatever to stay there. I said to her, so what do you expect me to do? You expect me to take the money right now and just give it to you when I don't have it? You know I'm trying to get this condominium, and I don't have the money right now to give to you. Okay, but before that happened, one day we had went out, or we was working or whatever. She was waitressing, and I was working in a place where we was working at. I made $4,000 that day, and I said to Nicole, I said, here, you know, I gave her like $1,200 to help her out or whatever. I never asked her for the money back. I never said nothing to her.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Your Honor,
that's exactly what it was, $1,200.
Miss Hernandez, I'm going to simplify this. I've just, while you've been telling me this whole story, been looking at these 2 papers. These 2 papers, I assume that you recall signing. Is that right?
Right, and I agreed to pay her back the money. I did.
Okay, so
and I told her that I would pay for it as soon as I'd be able to get the money.
You signed the contract. So you owe her the money.
Right.
How much did you pay her back?
$100.
So you owe her $650.
Right, but she moved to Texas. But how did she expect me? I live in Florida. She lives, hold up. She gave me an address and expects me to make her money order every week and send her $50.
She said she would do
stamp
that.
and everything.
Moses.
I said to her, let me finish.
Sorry,
they said they will come back they was moving back to Florida, whatever.
Miss Hernandez.
She said that.
Moses.
Moses.
You got to train him better.
I try, Your Honor, I try.
You got to try harder. If you don't do it now, it'll be too late. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They get into bad habits.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Miss Hernandez, you owe her the $650.
Right.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $650.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I wanted to make this easier for you, but in that time that I was struggling, trying to get money back, broke, Lisette wasn't paying us, my mother, who is a witness here today, sent me $300. I was living independently at the time.
What are you lecturing about? Just a second. What are you lecturing about? You sued for $650. I gave you $650.
Okay.
Say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nerves.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm a dancer, number one. She was dancing with me. We were both dancers.
No. I'm sorry, I'm 16
And I made
years old.
$3,000. I made $3,000, and she know that.
We won, we have our money, it doesn't money.
And you're still a little liar, okay? You're still a little liar. And
Better
you got
than
your
being a
mom.
prostitute.
She's a bigger prostitute.
Parties on James versus McDaniels. Step forward, please.
47-year-old filmmaker Jimmy James claims 32-year-old filmmaker Matthew McDaniel didn't pay him for footage used in Matthew's movie about rapper Eazy-E.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 140 on the calendar in the matter of James versus McDaniel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Copyright infringement is not my strong suit. But there's got to be a common sense answer to this. You two gentlemen are filmmakers, is that right?
Yes.
Whose funeral?
Eazy-E's a rapper, a star.
And you wanted to use some of his footage in some sort of documentary that you were making.
That's correct.
What was the agreement that you had with him?
Well, the agreement was that I wanted $100, but
$100 a what?
a second.
$100 a second. That's more than I make. Go ahead.
Well, anyway,
you sure? You sure?
Go ahead.
Anyway, I was covering a funeral of Eazy-E, and I called Matthew and I told him I had some footage of Eazy-E funeral, and he said, "Great, that I'm getting ready to work on a documentary on Eazy-E." And I said, "Great." And I said, if you want to use some of the footage, I would sell it to you. Just let me know what part you need. So what I did, I used a half-inch tape.
Just a second. You agreed to sell him what you did for $100 a second.
Right.
How many seconds did you use?
About 5 seconds.
You say you used 5 seconds. Did you agree to pay him $100 a second?
Absolutely not.
What do you say you agreed to pay him?
I told him I needed a few seconds of the footage, and we agreed on $250.
Now, am I correct that you say you had an agreement, some sort of written agreement?
Yeah, I had him sign a general release the day before the program aired.
Let me see it. You remember signing this general release, sir?
I signed a release. There wasn't anything on it, but just a couple of lines on there. And that's when we got into an argument. I asked him, where's the logo? Because that logo wasn't on there when I signed it. And a lot of stuff on there wasn't on there. And that release...
Not true. Just a minute. Mr. James, you're in business, right?
Right.
You don't sign something that's in blank unless all the blanks are filled in. Just for the future. Future reference. You don't sign this unless it's all filled in.
But I was at a disadvantage. My car had broke down. I needed money. He knew that. I told him that. He attacked me with the money. Well, you should come and take the money because you need your car fixed and sign it. The only way that you would get paid is you sign this before they put it on the air. He had edited everything before it was
If you
aired.
hadn't signed the release, sir, he couldn't have used it.
The release wasn't signed.
Listen to what I'm saying to you, sir. He needed your release, and all I'm saying to you, I don't know why you're arguing with me. You think I'm wrong when I say to you, as a business person, you don't sign documents where there are blanks. Am I right?
Right.
Period. Mr. James, when you signed this release, did he give you any money?
He gave me $250.
Okay.
But that's not what we agreed on.
Just a
He said he
second.
was going to pay me the rest of the money after he get the money from the record company. He got the money and didn't even pay me. He didn't even call me or anything.
The day that you signed this release, did you get money? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I got $250.
And you
but
took
it was
the-
a due of another $250.
That's what you say. He says no. He says that you had agreed on $250.
He's a liar.
Okay, I'll prove to you that everything I'm telling you is accurate. First of all, it should have been $250 on that release, and it should have said what it was for.
Absolutely.
Now, that was before the program aired, and he knows how this works. When I get paid, he gets paid. This time, it took a little longer than usual, but they paid me. I called him up, and then that's when he's talking about $500 and all this stuff, and I said, no way. It's not going to happen. You can take me to court. You can do what you want to do.
Did you pay him by check?
I paid him cash and got a receipt on
Let
his
me see.
company letterhead.
Let me see it.
He came over and apologized after we had an argument, took the cash. Then 2 days later, he calls me talking about I owe him a beta tape, something crazy, and he wanted more money. So You know, you can see on there clearly, I didn't force
Sir,
him to take the money or
Mr.
sign
James, you signed this. Paid in full, $250 cash. You signed it.
Yeah, but we were supposed to get back together what he can owe me another 250.
It says paid in full.
But he still owe me money.
Sir. You see this receipt?
Yes.
It says paid in full. Has your name on it. It was all written at the same time. Why did you sign something that says paid in full,
For
$250?
5 seconds, he used, I have a tape to prove he used 18 seconds of my footage. He still owe me money for the footage that he didn't pay me for.
What was the date that it aired?
March 26th,
March-
6:30 p.m.
March 26th. Did you see it, sir?
Yes,
Did
I
you see-
taped it.
Let me just see this, because I'm curious.
May I see something right quick?
No, you don't have to say anything, sir.
Okay.
This is not, we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is not a very difficult case. The program aired in March. You signed a receipt in May of 1998, paid in full. You just testified, Mr. James, that you had, I don't care whether it says 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Is this your piece of the funeral?
Yeah.
I think Easy's death.
Okay. What you're saying, sir, is that that piece was more than 5 seconds.
Right.
All right. And what I'm telling you is, if that piece aired in March, you signed a receipt for payment in full May, 2 months later.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
He grabbed me under my arms, which left a bruise, and you're just going to give me what I need. He pushed me up against the wall and held me by my throat and popped me in my left eye. And it
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jimmy James says Matthew McDaniel didn't pay for all the footage he used in a 30-minute film on rapper Eazy-E's life.
What did you do? Slow motion that, sir?
Slow-moed it, yeah.
I assume that that's what you did because it looked like it was going in slow motion. So I don't know how many seconds was it in real time and how many seconds was it in slow motion time. It really doesn't make any difference, Mr. James. You signed a receipt paid in full.
For 5
In May. Paid in full. Your lawsuit's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Okay, you big fat bear, you. You're a dog. You know, you're a rip-off person. You know that? This is not over with. I'm going after him in the record company because I didn't give them permission to use 12 seconds of my footage that I did not get paid for. We had agreement. He's a liar.
And now the next case.
Parties on McKnight Robinson versus Robinson. Step forward, please.
27-year-old accountant V.L. McKnight Robinson says her estranged husband, 29-year-old Brian Robinson, assaulted her and refuses to pay back money she loaned him.
Mrs. Robinson, you married the defendant in 1997, according to your complaint. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing him for some loans that you allegedly made to him during the course of your marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
And also for an assault.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why don't you tell me about the loans first?
Well, in my profession, I do a lot of traveling with my job because I also own my own collection agency. So for my purpose of making more money, I decided to relocate the family to Chicago, which is where we grew up. And when he got to Chicago with me and my family, he wasn't able to find a job. So it was very painful to see him go through things and not being able to have money of his own. So I said, what are you gonna do? I mean, he says, well, I'm gonna try to work. And I'm like, well, you're not looking hard enough for me. And he's like, well, okay, I'll go to school. So I said, where are you gonna go to school? And he's like, I'll go to some technical school. He then started school in November of '97, and he needed money to get the tools that was necessary because he
What
was,
kind of technical school was this?
auto diesel mechanic.
How much in total did you give him for school?
A little bit over $1,100.
And you say there was an understanding that he was supposed to repay you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, sir?
We had an understanding, but my belief is that I shouldn't have to pay her back anything because we were married. I figured one person should help the other.
Okay. But was your understanding, as she indicated, that these were loans?
She said they were loans, but it's like...
Let me stop you right there. She said they were loans. She said, I will loan you the money. Is that what
Correct.
she said?
Correct.
And you took the money.
I did.
But now it's your position that since you were married, it couldn't have been a loan. Is that your position?
I don't feel that I owe her for us trying to build a life together. That's basically, that's all my position is.
But right now, Mr. Robinson, you're not building a life together. You're separated, and you're going to get a divorce. Right?
That's probably true.
So that if I take your position as accurate, reasonable, and if you were standing here as two people who were living together, building a life together, and she was suing you for the money she said she loaned to you, I might say, well, you know, he's got the point to that. They're building a life together. She's going to benefit from his trade, right? Because she'll be working, bringing in money, supporting the household. But right now, she's not going to benefit at all from the $1,100 she lent you. How's she going to benefit from that?
At this point, she cannot benefit from it.
All right. So that's the bulk of the money that you claim in here that he owes you, other than for the assault, correct?
Actually, from the assault, I had the medical bills, and then also, because also he wasn't working, and his mother came to stay with us in my house for Christmas season, and he says, well, sweetheart, you know, I don't have any money to buy my mom anything. He says, I promise I'll pay you back. And I said, well, what kind of money are you talking about? He says, whatever I see I like for her, I'll pick up, and you charge it so I know how much I owe you back.
So how much did you charge for your mother?
Close to 300, maybe a little more. I mean,
How much did he charge for his mother?
It was a little bit over 300, almost closer to 4.
And that was your arrangement, that you were going to pay her back for that?
Yes, it was.
All right, let's get to the assault, please. I want to hear about this assault, because the bulk of the money that you're suing for is really for not only your medical bills for the assault, but also for the fact that he assaulted you to begin with.
Right.
So let me hear about that.
When I told him I wasn't giving him any more money, he's like, well, I already got my money that you gave me for my March tuition, but you said that you're going to continue to help me through school no matter what. And I said, yes, but the condition was that you was going to work and try to help yourself too. And it got to the point where he blocked me into my kitchen the way that my house is cut. And I said, well, just get out of my face. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm not going to change my mind.
That is not the way that happened.
I'll let you tell your side of the story, sir.
Okay. And I pushed him out of my way because he's, without my heels, he's much taller than me. And I pushed him out my way. I said, I'm not going to talk about it. So I went to my room, and he came after me. He waited about 5-10 minutes. He's like, well, we need to talk about this, because after this, I'm going to need money for this, because he never had money to give back and forth to school. And I said, I'm just not going to do it. So he grabbed me under my arms, which left a bruise, and you're just going to give me what I need. And I said, no, I'm not. So when we started pushing and shoving, which was in front of my two smaller kids, he pushed me up against the wall and held me by my throat and popped me in my left eye. And it.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You're 29 years old, sir. You're supposed to be at the earning stage in your life, you know, not at the learning stage in your life.
That's true.
There comes a time you got to grow up.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Brian Robinson admits to hitting his estranged wife, V.L. Robinson. She wants him to pay her medical bills and loans.
You have a photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
I see it, please. You went to the emergency room of the hospital at the same
Yes,
on the same day?
Well, not the same day, because I don't drive, and because of the condition of my eye, I couldn't drive.
So when did you go? The next day?
I went the very next day. My sisters came and got me.
All right, sir. How'd she get a black eye?
When I went to leave out the door, she grabbed me by my arm and she pulled me back into the door. And I stood in the door and I pushed her back inside the door because I asked her not to embarrass me while I was coming outside. I left the house. When I came back into the house that evening, she grabbed me by my arm again, and I asked her not to touch me. When she slapped me in my face, that's when I grabbed her. I grabbed her and I pushed her to the ground. And that's when I hit her. But other than that, it could have been resolved. I mean, I asked her to talk about it. I asked her not to even grab me or to touch me the way that she was doing.
Mr. Robinson, how old are you, sir?
I'm 29.
When was the last time you held down a full-time job?
In July.
And how long did you have that job?
I had the job for 2 months because the company was small and it didn't
Prior to
produce
the
much
2
money.
months of holding down a full-time job, during the marriage, when did you hold down a full-time job?
Before we moved back to Chicago.
You can understand her frustration, can't you?
Yes, ma'am, I can, but
So, I mean, what did you do all day, sir?
the reason I went to school was so that I could have a better way of looking for a job where I wouldn't have to go out and search and work temporary and part-time jobs.
Well, let me ask you
And
this
that's the
question,
reason-
Mr. Robinson. Do you have children?
Yes, we have one child together.
And this technical school that you were going to, what were the hours of your technical school?
8 to 2:30.
Okay. You know what I think, sir? If you go to school from 8 to 2:30, at 3 o'clock you should be at a job so that you are employed and assisting and bringing home money to support, support yourself and your child.
That is true. But
So why didn't you do that?
I worked at a grocery store for $5 an hour.
Yes.
I worked at a grocery store, and all I heard was complaints from her as to how much money I was making.
Just a sec. Did you ever complain that he wasn't earning enough money doing this part-time work?
Because I did, and I'm going to say yes, and that's because when he got his check was $80. By the time he cashed it, it was $70-something. By the time he bought his little trinkets that men get, cigarettes, beer, all that, he would come to me by the time tuition time came around. Hey, where's my tuition money? But didn't you just get a check?
That's not true.
It is true.
That is not
It
true.
is true. It is true.
All right, look,
And
it
was
is clear. It
ridiculous.
is absolutely clear to me that this marriage is going nowhere but to the courts eventually. Mr. Robinson, you clearly made an agreement with your wife to pay her back certain monies that she advanced to you for the school and certainly for things that you bought for your mother. You also, sir, put your hands on her, and she was pretty seriously injured according to the emergency room report. You can't do that. That's unacceptable.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. Need help in a divorce dispute? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Are you working now?
I do odds and end jobs on people's cars. And before I did not have the full knowledge that I have now to do these things, and now, you know, it's getting better for me.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm really pleased that you're getting yourself a profession. You're preparing yourself so that you have a profession where you can earn a living. In
And
the
that's
meantime,
all I've been trying to do.
in the
I
me-
mean, this
You're
this had-
29 years old, sir. You're supposed to be at the earning stage in your life, you know, not at the learning stage in your life.
That's true.
Thank you.
You got, you know, there comes a time you got to grow up.
Everybody makes mistakes, and I have made mistakes, and I do try to make up for my mistakes.
How long have you been separated? Since March?
Yes.
How much money have you given her to support your child?
I gave her $125 when I sold my vehicle to help her pay for some of her bills. I did give her that money, and she knows she can't deny it.
Well, he gave me that after 3 weeks after he was gone. But our daughter's birthday just passed, and he didn't get her anything. Didn't even call her.
Listen, sir, if you're doing odds and ends jobs, I assume that you're doing odds and ends jobs for cash?
Yes.
Good. You better start saving your cash. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. Thank you, that's all.
Judge.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, man.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
And it's just been just horrifying to have to go through stuff with him and to constantly go over in your mind how you were hit, how you was mistreated.
People go through things in life when they're married together where one helps out the other, and you benefit from that.
Party's on. Lucio versus Cole. Step forward, please.
38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Lucio versus Cole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Lucio, is this your husband?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? And you are Dr. Cole.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucio, you are suing Dr. Cole because you say that he performed a breast augmentation procedure for you and you were not satisfied with the result.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I gather from your complaint that this was not the first time that you had had a breast augmentation procedure.
That's correct.
When was the first time that you had the procedure done?
It was in 1992.
What happened with that procedure?
It was fine.
So why are you doing it again?
For larger breasts.
Why?
It's what I wanted.
If you had the procedure done in 1992 and you said it was fine, what changed in the last 4 or 5 years?
I just thought that I would prefer larger breasts. I had breastfed my children, and I was at a certain size. And with age, my figure had changed, and that I wanted it more in proportion.
And are you telling me that you were totally satisfied with the procedure that was done in 1992?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure. Didn't you tell me in your complaint that your breast size was different? One was heavier than the other?
That was before any surgery.
And after the 1992 surgery, both breasts were exactly the same?
Pretty much. It was from a different doctor.
I know it was from a different doctor. What do you mean, pretty much?
It was to my satisfaction, yes.
Okay. And then you consulted Dr. Cole.
That's correct.
Why didn't you go back to the doctor that you consulted in 1992 and who did the surgery in 1992?
He had moved.
Okay. Moved to another city, another...
I just couldn't find him. He had moved. He had moved from an area he wasn't... I couldn't find him. I couldn't locate him.
Did you try?
I had went to him when I had a problem with some pain, and I had went back to his office, and they were doing some remodeling around that area. And so, and also I had had a girlfriend that gave me some information on Dr. Cole, and I had seen his work on some lip surgery that he had done for her, and I just thought I'd try another doctor.
Okay. So he came well recommended to you?
He came recommended for a different type of surgery.
So why did you decide to use him for breast surgery?
I went and had a consultation with him. I listened to what he had to say, and I just thought I would use him.
How much was he going to charge you for the surgery?
He was going to charge me originally $3,600.
And ultimately?
The $75 consultation fee, and then I also paid, the total was $3,200 with the surgical center was $800, which brought a total of $4,000.
How much did you pay for the first surgery?
I don't recall, not the total.
Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with her at the time.
Oh.
I wasn't married to her at the time, Your Honor.
When did the two of you get married?
In '95.
But you have children from a prior marriage, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You have no children together?
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, so stand up here. You fell in love with her the way she was, right?
Yes.
Did you encourage her to have this second surgical procedure?
No, I did not.
Did you try to discourage her?
Yes, I did.
My kind of man. You said, I love you the way you are, honey. Don't do it.
Yes, I did.
Probably should have listened to him. How long do you stay in the hospital when you have this surgical procedure?
2 hours.
And how long is the discomfort period afterwards?
It's for about a week.
Or more?
Or more.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it's for ever since it's happened. She's not able to even look at herself in the mirror. I have to deal with that.
Well, I don't quite understand because according to the complaint, your complaint against Dr. Cole is that your breasts are a different size.
Correct, they're uneven.
Uneven.
We paid the money that we paid for them to be even. They were even the
I
first
wouldn't have
time.
listened to me. At my age, I don't look so closely anymore. Even, uneven, I'm just happy that I have them, that's it.
Well, Your Honor, if I may,
yes.
The first time she had it done, they were even. They were balanced out. We informed Dr. Cole and we gave him the procedure that had been done the first time and explained to him that they were uneven and that the first doctor had compensated for the fact that they were uneven. He explained to us that he understood and that he would make the proper adjustment to make them come out even, which he did not.
Dr. Cole, I'll hear you, sir.
When the couple came to me, the chief complaint here was that they did not like the first surgeon's work at all. She complains, and I have pictures to show, that the nipples pointed towards the axilla or the armpits bilaterally.
Did you complain about that?
No, he showed that to me, but I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't noticed it?
I mean, it was the way I was.
Go ahead.
She had a large retraction pocket with a muscle pulling in on the right side particularly. The breasts weren't round or smooth. They were irregularly shaped where the type of implants that were placed were adhesed to the capsules.
I don't understand all that. Does that mean they didn't look nice?
They didn't look nice.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, I'm certainly prepared to do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Cole denies he did anything wrong when he performed breast enlargement surgery on Sandra Lucio. Sandra says Dr. Cole botched the procedure.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The chief complaint they had at that time was the shape. They did not like the shape of the breast. They didn't think it was normal or natural, and there was a lot of discomfort, particularly on the right side. The second
Well,
thing...
you said that you had gone back to the other doctor because you'd had some discomfort.
I had pulled a muscle.
Just a second. Look at me. Did you complain that you had discomfort to Dr. Cole?
That I had
discomfort?
No, he's not the one that I went back to. I went back to the original one.
I know that. When you went to see Dr. Cole, did you tell him that you had discomfort?
I had pain.
Pain. All right. You told him that you had pain on one side of your breast?
No, I had pain from the incisions, not pain from...
What difference does it make whether it's pain from the incision from the surgery or pain from the implant? It's the same thing. You had pain in your breast, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The second thing they said was they'd like to have the breast enlarged if possible. The third thing I garnished not from them, but from the records they had given me from the first surgery, that there was some inequality between the breast sizes. The doctor had estimated that the difference between the two breasts was around 25 cc's difference, which is less than 2 tablespoons. But I said, if that's the third thing in terms of your interest, I will try to get that as close as possible. When I did the surgical procedure, I had a difficult time getting the capsules, the shape of the breasts, and I spent most of my time working on that so they'd be round and smooth, the nipples would point forward. The second amount of time I tried to do was to get the implant of largest size that I could in. And I explained this to Lucio's time and time again, that I could only get the size implant in that I could get in. I could not get more stuff in the area if it would not go. And I fill the implants till they're completely full, and as much size as... I do not have any prior conceived notion about implant size. They cost the same to me. There's no more problem getting them in if they're bigger. I had no axe to grind as far as I put the largest ones that would fit in her body safely and still be able to close the muscle tissue. I did that, and by the time I got the implants filled, I could not take some out of one side to make them even because it would have made one implant grossly smaller than the other. And I explained this to him, that I had done the best I could to get best shape, the most size I could out of them, And that's what my aims were. She had on one side, just for numbers, 300 cc's before I started, and I ended up with 430. That's over a third larger than what she started off with. On the other side, again, I put 430 cc's.
Do you have photographs for me?
I have preoperative photographs.
And I'd like to see the postoperative photographs.
I don't have any post-op. She did not come back for the post-op.
some photographs.
Well, I'd like to take a look at...
Sir, stay right there.
Okay. Can I see the postoperative photographs, please?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When we went to Dr. Cole informed us that he was able to put 400, the bag size, 400 cc's in her breasts and enlarge them to anywhere between, one side would be 450 to 460, the other side would be 490 to almost 500. When the doctor did the surgery, the only reason we even found out that he didn't put the right size in was because we asked for a copy of his report from his secretary. His secretary gave us a copy of the report. My wife was just devastated because he had not put the size that he indicated to us. We immediately went back into his office and said, "You didn't put the right size." He said, "Well, they no longer make that size."
Mr. Lucio.
Yes.
I can't use these photographs because these photographs don't show me anything. You showed me photographs. Your wife is wearing a brassiere.
Well, she was embarrassed to show you them without, Your Honor.
Well, then, that's not proof, sir. I need proof.
That shows you that I can't wear a bra.
No, it doesn't, madam, because I can, any woman can put on a bra, and unless she puts both sides in the same way, she can manipulate one side so one side looks one way and one side looks the other way. I have one set of photographs with the way you look preoperative, and I don't have anything here. You understand that, Mr. Lucio? I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Well, we have a report, I'm sorry, from another doctor, Dr. Villicana. Wait, no, it's, if I may, just, Your Honor, it's just a...
Evaluation and the cost of what it would be to correct the surgery.
I am not going to read a report from another doctor. If you want to show me another doctor's bill, I will certainly look at, but I will not accept another doctor's statement in lieu of the doctor's testimony.
We were charged for this doctor's report so that he could also, you know, show you that there is a difference. Just by
He says there's a difference. Madam, he says that there's a difference.
This is a drastic difference. I cannot wear a bra that's a normal size. One size fits and the other one does not. I would show you, you're a woman, you would just by looking at me. I can't wear a bathing suit. I can't wear anything that
Have you
is
been back
normal
to Dr.
size.
Cole?
We talked to Dr. Cole. The
Have
way
you
he told me is that every woman is basically odd-sized. You're not born even. And he said that there wasn't much difference. To me, there is a difference. Eventually, after talking to him, then he said, okay, I agree. He would go in and reopen the valve. When we spoke to the other doctor...
When he said reopen the valve, he meant reopen the valve and take some out from one side?
No, he was going to put some more in.
Madam, I don't understand you. You know, I'm looking at the procedure, the preoperative procedure, the preoperative photographs. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world an apparently intelligent woman would want to have her breasts enlarged any larger than these are.
You make intelligent choices. I made an intelligent choice. You may not agree, but it was my choice.
It was your choice. It was your choice, and what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 surgeries on your breast. You know, there were women out there, Miss Lucio, who would love to just have breasts that didn't give them any trouble. 2 natural, nice breasts that didn't cause them any grief. You have children, you got a nice husband who said to you, dear, I love you just the way you are. Don't do anything. You're going to have surgery surgery now 3 times in order to...
Well, if he would have done it properly, I would have only had the 2. I would have been satisfied with what I wanted, what I asked for.
Miss Lucio, I can't tell from your photographs the extent of the difference. So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, and I am not an expert, so I'm just a lay person looking at you and seeing whether there's such an aberration, so that there is such negligence on the part of the doctor so that I should award you $5,000, I'm certainly prepared to do that. Is that what you want to do?
That's fine.
Let's go.
Step over this way, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Dr. Cole, I must tell you that when we were in the back, I had no conversation with Mrs. Lucio with regard to this case. She was very upset. She still seems to be very upset, and what I was trying to do was to calm her a little bit and to tell her that if she wasn't prepared to proceed with this matter today, I was prepared to adjourn it unless she could compose herself. But we did not discuss the case because I know you were not with me. You might have felt certain misgivings. Do you understand?
I have no misgivings, Your Honor.
Good. Ms. Lucio, I want you to look at me. I'm jealous. I say that in the hope to get a smile on your face, madam. I will tell you that what I viewed back there was a hell of a lot better than the photographs, the preoperative photographs that were furnished to me by Dr. Cole. And quite frankly, Mr. Lucio, I think you are exaggerating to a tremendous extent. What you said was a vast difference in the size of your wife's breasts. I certainly did not see it. I saw a breast enlargement that clearly was larger than what she had. The shape was much better than what she had. And whatever difference in size was de minimis to my naked, untrained eye. And I tell you, Miss Lucio, right now that I believe that if you're prepared to put yourself through another surgical procedure, then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts. And that you would be very wise to address what it is that's really motivating you to do this. To cut yourself up every couple of years in the quest to have the perfect breast. You are the mother of, you told me in the back, 3 children. Right? You've got a husband who seems like a nice guy who says, I like you just the way you are. What I saw back there to me, it's as close to perfect as you could want. And yet you're not satisfied, so there's something else there. And I suggest that it may need a different kind of doctor to address what would motivate someone like you, who has 3 healthy kids, doesn't have breast cancer, thank God, doesn't have anything wrong with themselves, to put you through 3 surgeries because you see that one breast is slightly smaller than the other. Insane. And for you to encourage her in that regard, sir, is wrong. You know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I understand.
I know you understand. You seem like an intelligent man. Don't encourage her. There's something else there in your wife's head that she's unhappy with. And if this is the vehicle that she's using in order to satisfy that, it's destructive. Dr. Cole, I don't think you made any errors when you did the surgical procedure on the plaintiff. I'm dismissing her lawsuit, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think she saw that they were uneven. To her, something small and minute. You know, I just think that if any woman was thinking about having it done with Dr. Cole, his code of ethics is very poor.
No, I've been doing this 21 years. I've never had anybody wreck me in court over this. Well, I feel very sorry that I couldn't make the Lucios happier, and that's about all I have to say.
The judge obviously is out of touch with reality, and it's her courtroom. She's my wife, and I love her.
Party's on Hermanson versus Moss. Step forward, please.
27-year-old physical therapist David Hermanson says Secretary Rhonda Moss won't return the money he paid her for a wedding ring. She says he changed his mind too many times.
Order. All rise. Judges, number 127 on the calendar in the matter of Hermanson versus Moss. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Hermanson.
Yes, ma'am.
You work in the same office as the defendant.
I used to.
At the time of this incident,
yes,
you're working in the same office. And you at that time fell in love, not with the defendant, but with somebody else.
Yes.
And wanted to buy an engagement ring.
Yes, Your Honor.
She had a ring to sell.
Correct.
Said, I want to take a look at it, I want to think about it. Took it home, thought about it, returned it.
Yes.
Then a while later, you decided, well, maybe I do want it.
Mm-hmm.
So you told her you wanted it back.
Right. And gave her $300 as a good faith deposit to hold while I took the ring.
For a second time.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Well, I brought the ring to be appraised at a very nice, very good jewelry store in St. Louis, one of the best. He told me the ring was not at all worth what Rhonda claimed it was. I thanked him. I brought the ring back. I gave it to Rhonda. At the time, I did not ask for my $300 back.
Why?
She was very irate. She wanted me to buy the ring. She was in a bad mood, and I never for a moment suspected that she would keep my money.
So you gave her back the ring and you didn't get your money back?
Correct.
And how long did that go on?
Well, later on the same day, Your Honor, I started thinking about it, and I thought, hey, I better get my money back. And I approached Rhonda, who at that time told me I gave the check to my mother, who takes care of all of my expenses, and I had to pay my bills for it with the money. Furthermore, I called my bank, and I found out Rhonda cashed my check the day before I even gave her the ring back.
Because she anticipated that you were buying this ring.
No, I told her that I would have it appraised and let her know the next day, which I did.
What was the total purchase price, by the way?
The price was never firmly fixed, but somewhere over $1,000.
Now, why didn't you take it to have it appraised the first time you had the ring? What'd you do with it the first time you had the ring?
I took it home and I thought about it, and I was really indecisive. I took my time, maybe a week, thinking about it, talking to Holly, my girlfriend, and trying to get an idea of what kind of ring she would like.
And you're telling me that you didn't have it appraised during the week?
Not the first week, no.
And then you took it a second time?
Yes.
That's when you decided to have it appraised?
Yes.
Now, what exactly did you say to her when you took the ring the second time?
I said, Rhonda, I'm not really sure, but I think I might want to buy that ring again. If you'll give it to me again, I will take it and have it appraised, and this time I will let you know for certain whether I want it or not. And if I want it, I will promptly pay you for it. We had negotiated a price of $800 at that point.
So the second time you had negotiated a purchase price?
I believe $800, Your Honor, yes.
Okay. Ms. Moss, let's hear your version.
Oh, my version's slightly different than his. It was before Christmas time, and he had fallen in love with this girl after knowing her for only 4 weeks. And he was all uptight because he couldn't get any place to finance.
See how quiet she was?
Yes.
He couldn't get anybody to finance an engagement ring for him. So I was kidding around, telling him I'm going through a divorce. I'd be gladly to sell you mine. And nothing else was really said that day, but the next day he came up to me in the morning and goes, I really thought about what you said. I would like to buy your ring. Could you go get it for me?
You mean he didn't say to you, I would like to see the ring?
No, he just said he would like to buy it. Could I go get it for him? And I said, well, the ring is at my parents' house, and that's, you know, a half hour away. You know, I really can't do it today. He pressured me all morning long. Finally, I said, okay, out of the kindness of my heart, I'll drive out to Gray Summit on my lunch break and pick up that ring for you. So I did. I drove out there. It took an hour. I came back, showed him the ring, and he said, do you mind if I take it and have it appraised? And I finally said, yeah, but he gave me a $1,000 check because he took the ring, and he asked me how much it was worth, and I told him what I had paid for it.
How much did you pay for it?
Approximately $2,400, but I would sell it to him for $18. So he took the ring, told me not to cash the check for, I think it was approximately about a week. So he had the ring for a week or so, and then came back and said, you know, I don't think I want this ring. It wasn't as much as worth as much as what you had said. He gave me the ring back, and I gave him this $1,000 check. The next morning, my pager goes off 3 times before I go to work, and it was his voice on there. Please, Rhonda, I've changed my mind. I really want that ring. Could you bring it in for me? You know, 3 pages right in a row. So I did. I brought that ring back in for him. And at that time, he is, you know, all upset because his finances weren't that well and that he really couldn't pay $1,800 for it. But we made an agreement. I said, I'll sell it to you for $1,000. At that time, he couldn't give me $1,000. So he handed me a check for $300 and told me not to cash it till Monday. That Monday came along, I cashed the check and paid bills that I needed to pay with it. He comes up to me and says, my girlfriend broke up with me.
On Monday?
On Monday, after I had cashed the check. I can't buy this ring no longer. I'm like, I'm sorry, we made an agreement. You know, that's it. And later on that day, he came into my office very irate and mean, walked into my office shaking and telling me, you got to give me that money back. And he had me frightened. And from that point on, he wouldn't speak to me. He'd just come up to me and look at me like, you know, he'd kill me.
So now you have the ring and his $300.
Well, the ring is missing. All this time since I've been separated, I kept the ring at my parents' house in a safe place. Now with all this hassle, I couldn't tell you what happened to it.
All this hassle was he gave you back the ring, madam. That's not all this hassle. He gave you back the ring. So you have the ring and his $300. So even if I said you have to give him back the ring and he's got to pay for it, according to you, you can't do that.
No,
Is that right?
No, I cannot.
I don't believe you. I don't believe that you don't know where this ring is. In any event, you're entitled to your $300 back.
Thank you.
But Mr. Hermanson, just for my own curious information, did you break up with this girl?
Never. And I would...
Is this the lady?
Yes, this is Holly.
Did you get her another ring?
No, but I've done a lot of looking since then.
I'm sure she appreciates you looking.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Jerry, listen to me. That dog clearly likes you. I mean, I saw that the last time we were here. I have to decide what's in the dog's best interest. This is not a pen. This is not a gavel. This is a creature that has emotions.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Hermanson says Secretary Rhonda Moss won't return the money he paid her for a wedding ring.
Listen, Mr. Hermanson, let me tell you a couple of things that I don't find logical, sir. I don't find logical that you had the ring in your possession for 1 week and you didn't take the ring to have it appraised during the week that you had the ring, but took it to be appraised during the 2 days that you had it over a weekend. That doesn't make sense to me. Irrespective of that, she can't keep the ring and your $300. And she has the ring, and she's lying to me when she says she doesn't know where it is. I don't believe that. So you're entitled to your $300 back. You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
In my purse when I was in my office. That's the last time I saw the ring.
I never lied, I never stole, but the person I was suing basically lied and stole from me.
And now the next case.
Parties on Snodgrass versus Levancil. Step forward, please.
Previously on Judge Judy, 28-year-old student Jerry Snodgrass wanted his dog Missy back from former girlfriend, 30-year-old nurse Laura Levancil Vasquez. She's in love with the dog and wants to keep her. The judge decided that Missy should visit Jerry's home to see if she was comfortable with his other dogs. The visit was videotaped. Animal behaviorist Dr. Richard Polsky watched Missy interact with the other dogs during her visit. Jerry Snodgrass is suing his ex-girlfriend, Laura Levancil Vasquez, for the return of his dog, Missy.
How have you been?
Okay.
Hello again.
All right, when you were last here, we had gone through a substantial portion of this case. Very briefly, if my memory is correct, This is the dog an issue. You two had been together for a long time. During the time that you were together, you bought this dog. The dog was registered in your name. You claim it was a partial birthday present from her. In any event, the dog was registered in your name. When you broke up, you couldn't take the dog with you. The dog stayed with you for a substantial period of time. You now want the dog back. Is that where we are at?
Correct.
And what I had suggested was that we try some doggy visitations and see how they went. And in order to further assist me in making a decision, because I felt as if, listen, this is still a warm-blooded, smart creature of God, must have some feelings of its own about where she wants to live. Court authorized the use of an expert witness, and that's Dr. Roger Polsky. Is Dr. Polsky in the courtroom?
Yes.
Could you step up, please? Dr. Polsky, will you please give me a brief vitae? What are your credentials, where you were employed, where you went to school?
I'm currently president of a corporation named Animal Behavior Counseling Services located in West Los Angeles. The primary function of my business is to provide direct training and behavioral counseling services to owners throughout Los Angeles. I have a PhD in animal behavior.
From where?
From the University of Leicester, England.
Did you, at the court's request, attend a visit involving this little dog here?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell me what you observed?
At the defendant's home, I observed her dog in the backyard interacting with the other resident dog, which was a German Shepherd dog. And subsequent to that, I asked the owner to engage the dog, Missy, in certain exercises. And from that, I drew certain conclusions.
I'd like to hear them.
My assessment of Missy is that she fits the mold of a typical terrier, being a Jack Russell dog. She's spunky. I consider her a dominant dog. As a terrier dog, she's very strong-willed, and I believe she has a dominant role over this German Shepherd dog, who is probably 4 or 5 times her size. I also concluded that she is a very people-orientated dog. She's a kind of dog who needs to be with people. I also felt that Laura comes from a family where she was around dogs for her entire life. And she impressed me as a person who has a good understanding of canine behavior and the needs dogs require.
And anything else you want to add to that, sir?
I felt that Missy was comfortable in the presence of that home where Laura resided. I was impressed with the setup she had. It's a very typical terrier. It's a dog who needs people. It's a very strong-willed dog.
And from there, you went to the plaintiff's home.
That's correct.
Tell me what you observed, sir.
Laura showed up with Missy, and I requested that Jerry bring each one of his 3 dogs. There's 3 dogs that resided in the location where he was living. He was living in his parents' home. And Jerry was to bring each dog out singly so they encounter each other on the street. And after Jerry brought the first dog out, I instructed Laura to approach with Missy. And I studied the interactions between the dogs when they came proximate to each other.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Jerry Snodgrass is suing his ex-girlfriend, Laura Levancel Vasquez, for the return of his dog, Missy.
Did you draw any conclusions as a result of what you saw with the 3 dogs?
With the 3 dogs, well, I eventually observed the 3 dogs in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the structure of the situation with the 3 dogs there is that they have a very established social group.
That does not include Missy?
Does not include Missy. There's the 3 dogs whose Jerry parents own. Jerry's residing in his parents' home, and they have these 3 dogs that are all adult, have been living together for a long time, and they have a very closed social group. And we introduced Missy, and she's not a dog person.
You think she's a people person rather than...
She has absolutely a people person dog, a strong-willed terrier, and in that, what Jerry has is a closed social group. He has adult dogs who've been living together for a reasonable period of time, and that's the situation in his house.
What's his plan? You said that you spoke to him before
Yes.
the dog came in. What was his plan?
His plan is to finish school, then to work for the fire department in the capacity as a paramedic. And my concern there was that in that capacity, it would take him away totally from his house for at least 10 days at a time, or maybe a week at a time. That was a concern of mine.
Well, I've heard what your conclusion would in all probability be, and that would be that since the plaintiff at this point is planning a career that would take him outside of the home for an extended period of time, since the dog is clearly a dog that relates better to people than it does to other animals, that the best interest of the animal, based upon that issue alone, would be to continue to reside where she does.
Well, can I add one thing here?
Sure.
Which doesn't get to the ultimate conclusion. When you introduce a dog of Missy's temperament, strong-willed, a dog who wants to have its own way, and you introduce it into an already established group, although we don't see any fighting, I'm wondering what it would do to the temperament of a dog.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. You're excused. Thank you. Jerry,
Yes, Your Honor.
you got to get another dog if you want a dog. Do you understand?
I understand why, Your Honor.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. You know, it's very difficult to make a decision with regard to this animal because this is not a pen, this is not a gavel, this is a creature that has feelings, that clearly has a social structure. Right? And it's very difficult for me, and I'm certain it's very difficult for any other judge to be put in a position of having to make a decision with regard to what I consider is a living, breathing thing that has emotions. They get sad, they are happy, they get depressed. You've seen that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Doctor says that you plan to start a career that's going to take you away from your home for a week or 10 days at a time.
It's not 10 days at a time, it's 10 days a month.
10 days a month.
Mm-hmm.
10 days a month. And for that 10-day-a-month period, what do you intend to do with this dog?
I plan on hopefully being married at the time, or I lived with roommates previous, and they took care of...
That's iffy. Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes.
Have you discussed marriage with your girlfriend?
Not currently, no.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Jerry, listen to me. I think you've gotten a really fair shake here in this courtroom. That dog clearly likes you. I mean, I saw that the last time we were here. I have to decide what's in the dog's best interest.
I thought your worries were that she would not get along with my dogs at my parents' house.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. If you listen very carefully to what the doctor said that there are 3 adult dogs in your parents' house that clearly have formed a family, a little pack. This dog is not a member of that group. Now, it's possible that if the dog was there for an extended period of time, the dog might become bonded and they might accept her into their family, right?
So,
that possible?
Yeah, it's
Just
possible.
about the time you're ready to move. But right now, according to this expert witness, it was very, very helpful to me, this dog has a good home where the dog is comfortable, where the dog relates well to the other single dog that's there, where it's stable, and you're not. You're all over the place. So your case is dismissed, that's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm very happy. It's what was in the best interest of the dog. This is not, like if she said it's not a pen, you know, this animal has been with me her whole life. He's never not been able to see the dog. He chooses not to see the dog. This was out of spite.
versus Gray. Step forward, please.
33-year-old Lori Vona is suing her ex-boyfriend, Randy Gray, because she says he filed false charges causing her to be arrested. Randy is countersuing, claiming that in a violent rage, Lori threw an electric can opener at him, cutting off a portion of his ear.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 140 in the matter of Vona versus Gray. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Vona, you have a rather interesting complaint, to say the least, madam. It's clear from your complaint that you assaulted the defendant and cut his ear in half. And
I assaulted him?
Yeah. You sort of acknowledge the fact that you did that. You're going to tell me the whole story, but you acknowledge the fact that as a result of picking up an object, you assaulted him and his ear was split. Is that the ear?
Yes, ma'am.
I see it. So you're suing him for $5,000 that covers the cost of your being arrested and bail and lawyer's fees, plus loss of work in defending yourself because he subsequently dropped the charges.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Okay, so let me hear, and then we'll get to your countersuit, sir, which you, I understand, have just filed today and served on the plaintiff. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Vona, tell me about it.
Here's the statement to police, which ended...
No, tell me, don't give me the statement to the police. You tell me what happened. You two were together, were an item for years.
He came by my house.
Just a second. You two were an item. You lived together, dated...
No, he wasn't living there.
Dated for a long time. How long?
On and off?
Yes.
I'm not sure. Over a year.
Okay. But it was not a good relationship. It was an abusive relationship, you claim. So tell me what happened on this day.
He came by my house. I have the can opener here. I have pictures of the house to describe how the kitchen is. And he came by my house. He was really, really drunk and calling me names. And I said, go away, Randy. And I went to call the police. He grabbed the phone out of the wall, so I couldn't call the police. He came at me. He said I was, because I don't know why, he was drunk, very drunk. He'd been sitting up there for 3 hours.
Sitting up where?
It's, where was he? Bill's Market, where he goes to get drunk all the time. The corner market.
Okay, so he came into the house?
So he called me a bunch of names. I said, leave me alone. And when he saw that I was going to call the police, he came after me. I thought he was going to hit me. I just reached for whatever I could. I said, stay away from me. Get back. And he came at me anyways, and I said, stay away, and I just swung it, and it hit him in the air, and I really did not mean...
Let me see the can opener.
It's kind of old and been around. I'd like to demonstrate...
So's his ear. It's been around, right?
Your Honor, may I add something else?
Okay.
His last girlfriend...
Oh, okay.
She broke his jaw with a 2x4.
So, well, he doesn't have much luck with women.
And he had it wired shut.
Okay, so is that the can opener that sliced your ear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so what did you do after you hit him with the can
I called
opener?
the police right away.
And what happened when you called the police?
Well, he grabbed the phone out of me. He said he was going to kill me, and I just ran because he's yelling about his ear.
So you left the house?
I left. I called the police. I said, here's the police.
Don't tell me the report. I'm more interested in what you have to say.
Okay.
Okay, so
I left.
You hit him. You saw he was bleeding?
Yes. I left, and I had my landlord right away. I said, Mr. Fowler, take Randy to the hospital. And he went over to take Randy to the hospital. He wouldn't go. He had duct taped his ear.
Just a second.
It's in a police
now,
report.
Shh, Ms. Vona.
Sorry.
Hold it. Now, Mr. Gray, I read your answer. Were you drunk when you came to her house? No, don't look down.
I had a few beers, yes.
A few is how many?
4 or 5. No,
so you were a little bit...
no less than Lori had drank that night.
Yeah, but she didn't go to your house. You went to her house.
No, ma'am. We lived in that house together. We co-inhabited that house. It says so right in the police report.
When was the last time you slept there?
The night that this happened.
Well, before that night.
The night before that.
Had he been sleeping there? Look at me, Ms. Vona. Had he been sleeping there? You sure?
Yes, I swear under
penalty. Well, maybe you forgot where you were sleeping, sir. Listen, you got to the house and you were a little bit drunk.
No, ma'am, that's not how it started at all.
Well, how did it start?
We both came home from work at the same time. Lori picked a fight with me.
About what? Stop playing with the papers. She picked a fight with you about what?
About what I'd found in her purse. Because I asked her for a cigarette. When I walked in the door home from work, I said, Lori, do you have a cigarette? She said, look in my purse. I looked in her purse, found something there, shouldn't have been there, confronted her with it. She started screaming at me. I walked down to the store, give her and myself time to cool off, came back. I sat down on the...
So you left the house and you went to the store.
Which is 3 houses away.
And is this at this store where you had a beer or two?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that part of the story isn't so different. You weren't in the house, you had a few beers, and then you came back to the house.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened when you came back to the house?
Lori threatened to call 911 on me because we were arguing, and every time we got in an argument, that's the first thing she would do is pick up the phone, call 911, say, help, he's trying to kill me.
Mm-hmm. So,
Then
what
I
happened?
told
She
her-
went to the phone, she's calling 911.
No, ma'am. I picked up the phone. I said, you know what, Lori, I'm going to call your work and tell them what kind of person you really are. I picked up the phone.
What were you going to tell them?
What was I going to tell them? Her actions, what she does, how she treats me, how she acts around the house, what she does
Our
off
boss
work.
wouldn't be interested in that, sir.
Well, that's right. That's when she hit me over the head, not once, but twice with the can opener, leaving a 3-inch gash right here and doing this to my ear.
Now, what I found interesting about your answer to this was you said that immediately after this happened, you fell asleep on the couch. And you waited for her to come home to take you to the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
Why would she, after being so furious with you, to split your head open, why would you, if you were in your right mind, fall asleep on the couch and think that she was going to come home and take you to the hospital?
Because this kind of thing had happened many times before, only not to that extent.
All right. Now, ultimately, sir, you decided not to press charges. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
But you did, in fact, file a police report, so she was arrested.
Yes, ma'am. That's because when I came back to her house a week later after this happened, I went to the hospital, I left, I went and stayed with my mother. I came back to get my belongings, which was a lot of paperwork, tools, clothes. She told me that she'd thrown all those away. I had a pickup truck that was parked there. She had slashed all the tires, broke all the windows, stabbed the body parts full of holes. And that's when I told her, you know, I'm going to go press charges against you, Lori. And then she towed it out in the street to be towed away by the county.
You didn't see her do all the damage to the truck?
No, ma'am, but it was parked in front of her home. I'm sure she either did it or witnessed it.
She may have. Did you do all the... Ms. Vona, stop shaking your head now. It's very important that you tell me the truth, madam, because I'm like a true... Stop looking.
I did not do that, Your Honor.
Well, who did all those things to his truck?
His ex-girlfriend's son, Jeremiah, she lives up the street. His ex-girlfriend, the one who broke his jaw with the 2x4, she couldn't get rid of him for 4 years. He started yelling at her that day, and Jeremiah came by and broke your windows. Why would I break your windows? It already looked ugly in front of my house. Why would I want an uglier truck in front of my house?
Okay.
The truck was ugly, ma'am. It was no doors. And then I would like to demonstrate with this can opener that it's not consistent with an attack. But it was broken,
Listen.
how it got hit.
His ear is split open. Don't make it worse for yourself.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The reason we have a court, Ms. Vona, is because two people cannot agree. Two people cannot agree.
Yeah,
so
you
you
and
just...
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Randy Gray is being sued by his former girlfriend, Lori Vona. She claims Randy had her arrested on false charges. Randy is countersuing because in a violent rage, Lori threw an electric can opener at him, cutting off a portion of his ear.
Now, what I find interesting is you didn't have her arrested immediately. Why?
Because I have a lot of feelings for Lori. I have a lot of feelings for her 2 children. I didn't want to see anybody get thrown in jail. I knew what kind of things that spousal abuse does to people nowadays, the new laws, and I couldn't see throwing somebody in jail, making her lose her job and her children. I just couldn't do it.
Listen to what she just said to me.
Yes, ma'am.
She attacked you with a can opener, your body, your person.
Yes, ma'am.
She slit your ear in half. I can see where it's cut. And you didn't press charges against her. Then she damaged your truck. So you decided to press
Yes,
charges
ma'am.
against her. Does something not sound right to you, sir? She almost, according to you, she almost killed you.
No, ma'am, I didn't say that.
Well, That thing, hitting somebody on the head with that thing can kill them if it's
Yes,
placed
ma'am.
right? It could almost kill you. It only goes to show you, men have this peculiar thing with their trucks, their cars. Do you understand how foolish that sounds to a woman? You know, a woman would say,
Yes.
God, you put your hand on my finger,
Yes, ma'am.
and I'm going to have you arrested.
And I would have been arrested if I would have ever laid a finger on her or attacked her the way she says. I would have been in jail, guaranteed.
Now, why are you... So she's suing you for false arrest.
Yes, ma'am.
You ultimately dropped the charges against her.
Yes, ma'am. I called up the district attorney that was in charge of her case and told her I would come down there and lie for her. I lived at her house at this time when she was going to court for this.
Okay. Now, were the charges ultimately dropped?
I was completely exonerated when this had the evidence.
Just a second. Did you have a trial? Now,
No.
Ms. Vona, don't try to do a fast
Well, that's
talk on
what
me.
it says here.
Don't do a fast talk on me. Did you have a trial?
No, I did not, ma'am.
If you didn't have a trial, then you weren't completely exonerated.
Oh, that's just what it says here.
Just listen to me.
I didn't know it meant I had to look it up in the dictionary.
What happened is he refused to press charges and he refused to come forward and testify at the trial.
I think they would have went ahead anyways if they believed that I was guilty of anything, because if you hurt somebody, whether or not they press charges, the district attorney will go ahead and press charges.
Now you're in the head of the district attorney.
No, I'm saying that's...
He said he wasn't going to prosecute.
I don't believe that he did that.
Oh, I believe that he did that. I believe that. After he sobered up a little bit and looked at the truck and said it's not so important, and he said he really has feelings for you, he didn't want you to go to jail. I believe that he did that. But that's not false arrest, Ms. Vona. You did, in fact, cause injury to him.
He made a false statement to the police resulting in my arrest.
Well, let me see what the false statement was.
Oh, sure. I didn't know you didn't see it.
The statement that he gave to the police, according to his declaration, madam, is exactly what he told me. Now.
So I can't... He lied in his report to the police.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. How could he have been working 3 hours before 6:49?
Listen to me.
That's the first statement's a lie.
Listen
He goes
to
on
me.
to lie and lie and lie. It's false
His
arrest.
statement, no, it isn't. You just acknowledged to me.
Yes, I heard him. It was in self-defense. I was in fear of my life.
Fine. That's not false arrest, madam. That's what the police officers observed. Him injured, you not. That's not false arrest. He had you arrested because you did, in fact, slice his ear in half. So.
It was self-defense, ma'am. And
if you
came at me again, I'd do it again.
Well, then I would have there was never a trial. That's for a criminal trial to determine whether it was in self-defense.
They did. They exonerated me. Exonerate. That's what it says.
Ms. Barney, you can dance. You can dance from today till tomorrow. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Now let's get to you. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a counterclaim against her for how much? I want to see the papers that you filed.
I don't believe this.
I want to see the papers that you filed.
So you don't even have to review the evidence?
Miss Vona, were you ever served today with a copy of a cross complaint by Mr. Gray?
Just today, ma'am. I had no time to prepare for it.
Can I see what you were served with?
Whatever they gave me.
I'd like... do you have it? Because he doesn't
Somewhere
have his copy.
in here.
Did you file that cross complaint in a court, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Which
Sacramento Small Claims Court.
When did you file it?
Friday, this last Friday.
All right, Ms. Vona,
I gave both copies to the lady.
could I see what you were served with today, please? I'll wait.
Well, I really don't feel like giving you anything.
Well, Miss Vona,
but I will.
Of course you will.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is a good weapon, ladies. Can openers, work wonders.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Randy Gray is being sued by his former girlfriend, Lori Vona. She claims Randy had her arrested on false charges. Randy is countersuing because in a violent rage, Lori threw an electric can opener at him, cutting off a portion of his ear.
It's a very narrow legal issue, Ms. Vona.
So
filing a false report causing somebody to be arrested is a very technical is a very technical, legal, four corners.
So if it was a false
complaint.
report, how come?
There is not a false report, madam. He alleged that you hit him with a can opener, causing his ear to be sliced in half. At least two police officers responded to the scene, saw his ear sliced in half, and took that report. That's what the report says.
That he refused to press charges.
Then he changed.
You're not reading all the evidence.
Then he changed his mind, which he is absolutely entitled to do.
If he tells the truth in a complaint, I wouldn't have been arrested for 3 felonies. For sure, if he says I attacked him with a can opener, they're going to slice me with all these charges.
Are you going to show me what he served you with today?
If I can find it.
Good.
I don't know. I just had everything. I just can't believe that it's self-defense. And
just find
you
the
just
document.
said yourself they were false charges. I heard you. The whole court heard you. So whatever. I already lost, so go ahead.
Can I see that, please?
Oh, you have to have, you know. You just said he filed a false police report. You're acknowledging that. But you say that I am not, because you don't, I'm not going to say it.
Sir, you filed this report. You allege conversion of a Chevy pickup truck and a dent to his 1982 Pontiac. That have to do with the trucks that were outside her house?
No, ma'am, it has to do with this case, it has to do with the bail amount. She came by my friend's house here when I was there, told me I owed her bail money, and if I wouldn't get out there and talk to her, she was going to run into my car. I said, I have nothing to say to you. She ran into my car and drove off.
She ran into which car?
My Pontiac Firebird.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I did not. And I have the letter. Well, it doesn't matter what I have because you're not going to look at it anyway.
I have a witness that she did it in front of his house that witnessed her, him, his wife, and his neighbors.
Step up, please.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you see?
I seen her come to my house, ask for him to come out, and he refused to talk to her because he didn't want to have nothing to do with her. And she went over and hit his car first with her fist. I guess she couldn't do enough damage with that. Then she got in her car and rammed into it and then took off.
You have an estimate for damage to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Can I be excused? This is all a joke.
No, you can't be excused until the case is over. You know, listen to me. You have an absolute right to be present during the remainder of these proceedings. The reason we have a court, Ms. Vona, is because two people cannot agree. Two people cannot agree.
Yeah,
so
you
you come into court asking a court, both of you, whether or not the court can resolve an issue. If you are not happy with that judgment, that doesn't mean you stomp your feet like a baby and pick up your marbles and leave.
What a joke.
Bird, she can leave.
Thank you.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
What were your medical bills, sir?
$367.43, which I haven't paid either.
Let me see them, please. All right, so far I have damages in the amount of $1,234. You have a drinking problem, Mr. Gray?
No, ma'am.
I think you do. I want to tell you something. I think you do. And while there is no excuse for what Ms. Vona did to you, I believe that in all probability, you are not a stranger to the courts in the area of domestic violence situations, whether you were the victim or whether you were the perpetrator. Do you understand?
Yes,
It's happened to you
ma'am, I
before.
understand what you're saying.
And I would suggest to you, sir, that probably a good deal of that comes as a result of your drinking. Bird, I hear her making a racket out there, so I want her out of my courthouse. Get her out of my courthouse. So, I'm entering a judgment in your favor, Mr. Gray, in the amount of $1,234, which are your medical bills and the damage to the truck. That's all.
Excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
There's a lot more things I need in life right now than reconstructive surgery. But if I was to go down for reconstructive surgery, I'm sure it'd be more than $1,200.
I was totally exonerated. I looked it up in the dictionary. I don't know how it's spelled, but give me a second and I'll find it. I was completely exonerated.
I still have feelings for her children. I've never been married or had children, and her children and I had quite a bond between us, and I do miss them.
This is a good weapon, ladies. Can openers work wonders.
পেনশন লাগবে সহযোগিতা করতে পারেন, কীভাবে রাখবেন, কী কী রঙ পেনশন লাগবে এই ভিডিওতে শেয়ার করবো। অবশ্যই ভিডিওটা পরবর্তীতে বলবেন না।